We start the new year of 2023 here in the world of sim racing, but today we look backwards to the very beginning of single-seater racing. Welcome along, ladies and gentlemen, to the Revival Racing League, and the 1950 Silverstone Grand Prix kickstarted a long, innovative, and exciting journey of Formula One. But today we relive it, we retell the story. 30 minutes of qualifying and 7 laps kickstart this very, very long season of topping and changing in terms of the chassis that we drive, the tracks that we visit, and the era of cars that we go to as well. It is myself, Zach Sweeney, alongside Michael Sifalda in the commentary and production booth. We're here right now in, as I say, that 30-minute qualifying session. Very, very important to start the race as high as possible in terms of track position. You want to get a good launch, particularly with a fairly hefty 15-card grid here today, of course. We have 3 different chassis going there. You can see on the timing tower to your left-hand side of the screen. We've got the Ferrari 375, the Alfa Romeo 158, and the Talbot-Lago T26C. 3 very historic cars, 3 very fantastic cars, 3 very loud cars. Let's put it that way. With the Ferrari 375, we have a 4.5 litre V12 engine. With the Alfa Romeo, a 1.5 litre inline 8, and then of course with the Talbot we have an inline 6, and I think it's producing about 1.4 litres engine capacity. So a fairly hefty one, particularly the Ferrari. In terms of the 1.5 for the Alfa, then for the Talbot, just having a quick look, actually, just double check until I don't give you some false information. 4.5 litres, I should say, inline 6. So the Talbot and Ferrari have got some very, very big engines. Let's put it that way. The Alfa Romeo, slightly smaller in terms of its engine size, but don't forget, modern Formula One cars only have a 1.6. So, you know, it doesn't matter how big of a bang you can produce, you can still make some pretty hefty horsepower. And around Silverstone, it's not all going to be about that straight line speed. You're going to have to focus really on your cornering abilities, how effectively you can manhandle these old Formula One cars. Remember, look at them. You're basically on bicycle tires for these cars. You are with little to no aero, little to no grip, and you really do have to rely on the several hundreds of horsepower that you've got, because you can see now on board with the Alfa Romeo of Alexander Gray, it's not Alexander Gray, sorry, I should say it's NZO, but not people. A lot of people don't really want to share their original names actually on Assetto Corsa. It is of course Mike, in the Alfa Romeo. You can see how much he's having to chop and change at the steering wheel, trying to actually get the front nose of the car to turn into the corner. It's very, very tricky. And again, it's a case of just really using the power. Just right now through the very fast left-hander, going through, I believe this is, I'm gonna say maggots. I think it's the old rendition of maggots. Actually, no, it's in the bottom right of my screen. I can see that now. Into Woodcut. So that was going through Abbey, but through the very fast corner of Abbey, you really do rely a lot in modern day through corners like that, a lot on the mechanical grip, a lot on the aerodynamic grip that your aero is producing. But no, in these, you've literally just got the steering wheel and the bicycle tires. So you'll see a lot of drivers really getting a lot of slip angle, a lot of a drift going on with their car. Basically just saying, okay, if the front end's not going to turn, I'm going to use the rear end to turn it for me. So we'll see Pedro Lopez, you can see that prime example of it, is just chucking the car in, basically like a glorified go-kart, just not anywhere, about 20 times more likely to kill you, basically, for the 1950 Formula One cars. But yeah, just chuck it in, slam the throttle down, and bring that rear end out to just slide the car through is pretty much the only way to drive these cars quickly. You've got to be so committed, so brave, so bold. And yeah, it really is a skill, all of it in of itself, to handle these, to handle cars like these. But yeah, everyone's here for a reason. They all want to do well. They all want to make the most of their time here for the Revival Racing League. And to do that in qualifying is it's a good start. It's a good stepping stone going into the race. You fill yourself with morale. You go in saying, okay, I can do this time. can I keep that up in the race? This is what everyone else can do. Are they going to keep it up in the race? And if you're quick relative to everyone else, you chances are going to be quick relative to everyone else in the race as well. Having a look at the provisional times, of course, we are only 7 minutes into this race, into this qualifying session. We've got Costa leading the way at 1:49 for him. Is meaning that he's looking pretty darn good, at least in the opening stages. Then, of course, we look back to Pedro Lopez, a 1:51.1 for him. Alexander Gray, 1:51.350, and then you go to Ezassel, the German, 1:52.3. So a big 1 second discrepancy between the top three and the rest of the field. Hopefully, for a lot of these cars, they can bring them back down sort of to a more manageable sort of gaps, and we keep it nice and close. 70 laps in store for the Silverstone Grand Prix, so you have to. It would be nice to keep it nice and close. Give me more to talk about. It means I have to lean less on poor Michael just in the production. He likes to focus on the cam side of things, and
I don't know how about you, but I'm fine.
He's fine. He's fine. Fair enough. That's fair. Yeah, no, fair enough. If I need him, he's there, basically, is what he's saying. Younger than me, though, and I don't know how to feel about that, because I'm considered one of the young guns in sim racing at 16. Michael, no, he comes in, he's like, yeah, no, I'm 2007. And I was like, no, that's wrong. You're not allowed to be that young, Michael. I refuse.
I'll love to say what my classmates said one time. It's not my fault I was born in this year.
It is. You should have just like popped out sooner. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, I digress. Because we're professionals here. We don't care about age or anything. Speaking of age, though, we've got a very wide sort of wide range of ages. We've got a driver born in 1965. That is, of course, Mike Enzio. You will see him on the Diamond Tower. He is at the moment P11 in his glorious Alfa Romeo. Then we go up to we've got who is it? It's Noah and Simon Yabalani Stotok, who both are not actually racing today. Actually, no, we've got Stotoks in 2008, 2009. Ladies and gentlemen, they are 15 and 15 and 14 respectfully. Actually,
14
no,
13 maybe.
19 for the first. So we've got a 14-year-old and a 13-year-old, because none of them have had their birthday this year. 14 and 13. That just doesn't sit right. It's so weird, but it's so good, isn't it, Michael? Like the fact that we've got so many young guns into sim racing. It's like not only does it make the old people feel more old, it means that the future is bright. You've got a lot of passionate people wanting to come into this industry.
Yeah, no, it's definitely great to start at a young age with sim racing and everything like that. Here you can see quite a good action. I don't know why they are racing qualifying. Brian Skywalker and I don't know who's the second guy. I don't have the driver names on. I'm dumb, and I do, but they don't show. That's great. But yeah, it's great that we have such youngsters in the community. It's wild. Makes me feel old when I see a child from 2009 or 2010.
I know.
Don't know why.
Weird. They're not even that much younger than us, but anyone younger than me, I see as a baby. Like when I was in year 11, it was just a case of anyone younger than year 11 are just babies.
Well, don't worry, I'm one of the oldest into school right now, and it's not comfortable.
Yeah, fair enough. It's great. But again, it just means that also with the whole Revival Racing League, you not only have you got sort of oldies trying to relive their childhood and things like that, looking back into what was none of these guys were born around the start of this era of Formula One. But you've not got those people searching for nostalgia. You've also got young guns who are passionate about the history of the sport, passionate and want to get into the car and see what it was like, because you really do, in sim racing, get a picture of just how crazy these cars would have been. You don't get the full picture, of course, but naturally, when you get in behind the wheel of a 1950 Formula One car and you chuck it around a classic circuit like Silverstone, you do get a grasp and a glimpse of just how unbelievable, how unfathomably brave some people had to be in order to tame these beasts. It's just so tricky. And sim racing, I think, really does give us a fantastic insight into what it was like back then for all these guys. And while we only get sort of the icing of the cake of it all, these guys had so much more, and it gives you sort of a newfound respect, I think, for drivers back in the day.
I think Ryan Skywalker says it great. The caster's notes. Here we have why did he join? It was the fact that it's the F1 era where big walls were required.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, yeah, in the most bluntest of terms, yeah, that is exactly what it is. It's where you had to be brave, you had to be bold, and where you had to put your life on the. I mean, you still do, definitely in modern Formula One. Don't get me wrong. It's just a lot safer, which is so much better. But back in these days, these guys were basically saying, to be the best, you had to be willing to go into a corner unsure of whether you were going to come out of it on top of your roof or on top of your wheels. You had to go into it saying, am I going to live through this corner? Probably not. I'm going to go for it anyway. And that's what the likes of Nino Farina, 1950 Formula One world champion, you've got Juan Fangio, Alberto Ascari. Back in these days, you just had to trust that the car wasn't going to kill you every time you chucked it into a corner. And as I was saying earlier on, bicycle tires. You look at how skinny those tires are. You've got a 4.5 liter, particularly in the case of the Ferrari, a 4.5 liter V12 engine, rear-wheel drive car powering what are literally glorified bike tires. They have got no contact patch to the ground, and if they do, very, very slim. Virtually no contact patch to the ground. What is the horsepower of it? I'm just having a quick look as to what it is. I'm just trying to find. I think
He's trying to find it. I was
quick little
just saying,
scan.
it's great to watch here in this camera mode how close these stars are, how slim they are, and how they are just going closer and closer to the grass. The drivers are using all the space that they have available to race. That's what you need in the 1950s, and that's what they are replicating onto track right now.
I agree. Yeah, I completely. The best I can find, I think, the figure of close to 380 brake horsepower. So yeah, you've got 380 brake horsepower going to bicycle tires, which is no grip at all. You have to just be so brave, so bold, and it can so easily go wrong. As you were saying, you've got to use the full extent of the track to the best of your ability. Really, you've got to maximize everything you can. You've not got, by any stretch of the imagination, the extensive runoff areas, the paved tarmac runoff areas that we have in modern day Formula One. You have track grass wool, or in some cases, track hay bale grass wool, and that is exactly how it can go wrong. We just saw there on board with Mike, just going a little bit wide, marginally wide off the exit of Club Corner, and just tapping the barrier. The margin for error is so slim, and yet these cars are so hard to drive. It's so easy to just say, step a little bit over the mark, just a little bit over the mark, can send you flying into the barrier and very quickly put you out of contention.
I think we missed Ryan Skywalker getting somehow pole.
What's that?
Ryan Skywalker has somehow got pole position in when it was like 5, maybe less minutes. In yeah, what if I'm right? Obi-Wan said it's one of the more underpowered cars, and with the gold all around the car, I think they are even slower. No, kidding.
Yeah,
The skins don't make a difference, but it would.
it would in real life. If that was a car made of gold, not only would it be very impractical, very expensive, it wouldn't. Yeah, it would weigh a ton, essentially. But a 149.161 at the moment is the benchmark. So for the Talbot T26C, that is very, very good of a lap time. Again, it just goes to show that around tracks like Silverstone, it's not necessarily a case of just how much power you've got. It's how you use that power most effectively to make the most of your track time. So Ryan Skywalker, the South African, has catapulted himself up onto pole position. Granted, yes, it's not a given. Still got just under half of the session left to go, 14 minutes and 13 seconds left. But it seems that it could well be a very, very close fight for pole. This is actually great to see. We've got from Marnix. Yeah, it is awesome to see. It's not oftentimes you go back in time, have a quick look at the classics. It's nice that these guys do get their glimpse in the sunlight, because you've got sims like iRacing, ACC, R Factor 2, which have a very heavy focus on modern day single seaters. GT3s, GTEs, endurance racing sort of layouts. We never often see the classics, and I love that we do have these guys, because they do provide some great action, and they are always a fun, like a joy to watch.
That's definitely true. With actually AC2, I think coming out this or next year, we'll get even more of these classics and better graphics, better physics, more modding that will be available, all made by Kunos and all sold for a price we can afford. So we will have more and more of these races, or I hope so. Would be cool to see.
It would be indeed. And we have got a long season of it. Ryan Skywalker, unfortunately, has taken to the grass on that particular occasion. Not the best lap for him for our provisional pole sitter, of course, but still a long way to go in qualifying. Still a lot of things left for him to unfold. Speaking of the future races, I'm just having a look now through the calendar that we've got going on for the Revival Racing League over the course of the next few months or so. Having a quick look, of course, we're here on the 14th of January for the British Grand Prix of 1950. Then in, 2 weeks' time, of course, every second Saturday, have we got a race. We then go to the Monaco Grand Prix, then to the Indy 500 for the Indianapolis, then to Switzerland for Bremgarten, which is a track that I've certainly never heard of. Then to Belgium. Of course, we've got to have Spa in the Canada, the French GP of Reims, Guo, I think. My French GCSE is coming in clutch there. Then, of course, we go to Monza of 1966, which I certainly cannot wait for, on the 8th of April 2023. So the trifecta of Silverstone, Spa, and Monza are on the calendar. And when you've got a series that hosts the classics in Formula One, it would be wrong not to have a calendar with those three circuits on it.
Definitely never heard of Bermgarden. That will be an interesting track to race on, I think. Pedro unlocked his inner Enzo Ferrari and has provisional pole for now. 148.787 is the benchmark for Costa or Ryan, or maybe even someone else from the grid that can take pole position.
Yeah. Well, the first driver into the 48s, of course, Costa has been able to improve himself up to a 149.047, but still a 3/10 or rather discrepancy between Lopez, Costa. But it is the front three of Lopez, Costa, and Skywalker that all have gotten themselves truly fermented towards the top end of things. However, fair Ferrari dominance, I would say. You can see the top two are the Ferraris, three of the top four are Ferraris, four of the top six are Ferraris. The other two are the Talbots. So the Alfa Romeo, unfortunately, does seem to be struggling very, very, very ever so slightly, at least in the opening stages of qualifying. Maybe, however, the dip in terms of its engine capacity could help it come back into its own on fuel in the race. 70 laps, 2 stops predicted. How much is strategy, do you think, going to play a factor today? Of course, it all starts today in qualifying, but 70 laps is a long time.
Strategies. Basically everything in these types of races. One wrong splash of fuel and you can have a pre-stop somehow and lose even more time than you thought you could. So definitely a lot to lose if you mess up your strategy.
I agree. I completely agree. It's one of those things that you have to get right. Racing is not just exclusively going around a track fast. Yes, that is such a big part of it, but it isn't the be all and end all. It's not well, I guess in some sense it is the deciding factor, but the things that separate the good from the great in an overall perspective of racing, particularly sim racing, is how well you can go into a race and maintain your qualifying pace. How well can you go fast around a track, lap after lap after lap after lap? How well can you maintain that? How well can you decide when to come into the pit lane? How well can you make those split second decisions to decide what you're going to do at a certain point in the race? And it's a strain that sim racers have a lot more actually in real life racing. It's one thing of one small thing that sim racers actually have to do more of than real life racers, and that is a lot more of their decision making. In terms of their strategy, sim racers, they have to, most of the time, the majority of the time, make their own setups, make their own strategy, and rely a lot more on their own split second decisions than we see in real life. And all of these guys have got to do all of that while also the pressure of um, of 14 other cars around them fighting for the same piece of tarmac. There's a lot of pressure on these guys' shoulders, and it's the thing of how well can you keep yourself composed, how well can you limit those mistakes and still maintain a good sort of composure, good posture in terms of your mental frame of actually like not making those mistakes, being able to make those correct split second decisions, etc., etc. So while yes, we have got Lopez leading the way now on a 48.5, does his consistency allow him to carry that on for those 70 laps? It's one of those things that, particularly in cars like these as well, consistency is going to be a huge thing.
Consistency is key in every part of motorsport, endurance, F1, just everywhere. Even in karting, you need really good consistency to push the laps and keep it on going.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, like, consistency is just one of those staple attributes of a driver that you have to have, in the sense that if you don't have it, you are going to struggle, even in sprint races, even of races that's only 10 laps long or 15 minutes long or whatever it is. You still need that element of consistency. So it doesn't matter what discipline of racing you go to, you have to have consistency. And it's one of those things that really you can only be taught by experience. You can't be taught how to be consistent. Yes, you can have pointers. Someone might say, oh, drive at 95% of your limit as opposed to full 100%. Try to focus and look forward on the track. Try to drive sensibly. But again, consistency is not one of those things that you learn through theory-based work. It's one of those things that you just go out onto a circuit, do lap upon lap upon lap, go into race sessions, do race upon race upon race, and just fine-tune yourself into being a more consistent driver. And yeah, again, it's just one of those things that come with time. But experience, just being around in the sport, in the industry for a long enough time, is uh, is such an important thing. Getting a very lovely view, it must be said, of the inline six engine that we have got on that Talbot-Lago T26C. It's a big engine. It's a long engine as well. It's surprising that you've got such long inline engines, because surely that's just extending the length of the car. But I mean, these guys, it works somehow. But yeah, the amount of cylinders that you have in those inline eights and inline sixes, it just makes the car so long. When you think about production cars, usually, typically, your general Vauxhall Corsa or whatever will have an inline four, maybe an inline five, maybe. I think a couple of cars have at most. These Formula One cars got i6s and i8s. It's a long boy basically, and I was quite surprised to actually see that. But anyway, I digress. It's good though that we have, in the classic sense of Formula One, Michael, is the sense that you had so many different teams, so many different chassis, take so many different approaches, and as we're seeing today, all of them work. We've got three different chassis, three different engines, all producing, different outputs in terms of horsepower, and yet all of them are relatively close in terms of pace.
That's point of the 1950s. It was what F1 is basically trying to do now. The equal playing ground for basically everybody. It's this is the closest racing we basically got in all of F1 since the start of it, and that's kind of sad. But yeah, this is the closest time the field was ever together in all of F1 history.
I agree. And I know I say that a lot. I've been saying that a lot pretty much for every start of my point since you stopped talking. But again, you are just speaking the truth, Michael. Formula One for me has always been um, it's been a playground for engineers to just say, right, we've been tasked, ladies and gents, with making a car as quick as physically possible within a very respectable safety and rule limit. And that is what I think we are missing a lot of in modern day Formula One. Is just letting the engineers go crazy. You know, we saw it with Porsche back in 2017 with their LMP1 prototype. How they literally just said the 919 Evo, I think it was, where they literally just said, yeah, no, we're not gonna follow the rule book. We're not gonna make it WEC standards. We're still going to keep the characteristics of an LMP1 car, but we are just going to let these guys go ham and see how quick they can go. And they turned out a lap time 7/10 quicker than that year's Formula One pole lap around the circuit of Spa-Francorchamps, which is a fairly sizable margin. So it makes you think, really, doesn't it? Is that, say, if Mercedes or Red Bull or Ferrari or anyone were just told by the FIA, here's an infinite amount of money, there's no rules, what can you do with the car? And it's weird to think about how quick Formula One cars could go if they weren't constrained by the whole, oh, you've got to make it a safe car to drive sort of thing.
I think the best example of a car that could use an upgrade, like how we said, Porsche LMP1 prototype, is the Mercedes W11. Was the 2020 2020 Mercedes, if I remember right.
Yeah, arguably one of the best cars in Formula One history in terms of its dominance. While it didn't turn out the stats of the McLaren MP44 or anything like that, it didn't win the overall most percentage of races. It was clear. Like that 2020 Mercedes F1 car was so clear of the rest of the field. And it makes you think, how much faster could it go? Like they've already done a good job. But yeah, again, it's innovation. Formula One has been just about as it's been about as much of the engineer as it is about the driver, and it's one of those things that go hand in hand. You've got to have a good driver coupled with a good machine to be able to succeed. And even back to the 1950s, even though they're in sort of glorified go-karts essentially for these cars, you still have that element of man and machine going hand in hand around a circuit.
I definitely agree. I think the biggest difference we will see will be next round Monaco.
Yep, definitely.
And then
That's going to be a really driver's track, right?
Yeah, it's basically a whole different track. But the main thing is these cars are a lot smaller than the 2022 spec. That will be such great racing that we haven't seen on that track for ages. That's. I hope that I'm hyped for that race. It will be amazing.
Oh yeah, 100%. I can't wait. 2 weeks time, of course. The 28th of January was when we're next going to go out to Monaco. We're not even to the green flag of race one yet, so let's not get too excited. Let's focus on Silverstone. But yeah, Monaco it's going to be a good one. Absolutely, I can 100% agree. Apologies there. Got a bit of a cold and down in the Lucozade. So my body is not liking me right now. Let's put it that way. 7 minutes left to qualifying then, and it seems that Pedro Lopez does seem most secure to take that pole position. A 148.561 as it stands. Costa just in behind a 149.0, then Ryan Skywalker at a 149.1. Very, very close between the top three. The checkered flag has been waved to signal off the 30-minute qualifying we had here for race number one of the Revival Racing League, the 1950 British Grand Prix. Who is going to be able to take it to the top? Pedro Lopez across the line does not manage to improve. Costa back into the pit lane. He's taking the checkered flag. All eyes now potentially on the South African of Ryan Skywalker in towards Woodcote. The final corner, of course. before you make that run. Actually, no, it's technically the first corner. Or is it? No, this is now the run to the line. My track map is deceiving me. Up into second place, up onto the front row. 1:48.834 goes the way of the South African. Brilliant lap there, separating the two Ferraris of Lopez and Costa. What a lap that was right at the end of it. But 4/10 clear Lopez, he has put himself in a prime position to do well in this race.
It's definitely, and I forgot to tell you, this is also so they're starting pretty wide.
Oh, they are indeed.
Yeah, we'll have a lot more fun with Ryan starting in the middle, being sandwiched by those two Ferraris. It's actually Costa will have the best, maybe actually the best position to send it down to the first corner.
Oh, this is gonna be a good one. I'm on the edge of my seat. I cannot wait for this. 3 wide, of course. Thank you for the reminder. Yeah, I'm too used to the standard 2x2 sort of layout that we've got. There is the Dutchman going very, very wide of Marzo. Again, I will probably chop and change in between people's real and virtual names as we go through, because sometimes I'll have different tabs open on my laptop, and sometimes I won't be able to remember everyone's name off my hand. And that is a remarkable drift there from Marzo. Fantastic through the final corner of Woodcote on the
How
run
is he
to the
not
line.
done?
What's that?
He went over the line, but no, we are still in overtime. God
Yeah,
damn it.
we are. My biggest sort of pet peeve with Assetto Corsa, it's a fantastic. I love Assetto Corsa, but the online is a little bit iffy. I would love for a game like Assetto Corsa to just like have the online system of, say, iRacing or something, where they just have hosted races that you can join, and the whole when the checker flag is waved and everyone's done, you move on to the next session. The
That's
whole overtime
ACC
thing.
for you.
Yeah, like ACC. ACC is fantastic in that regard. But again, ACC for me doesn't really work because my wheel, for some reason, for some bizarre reason, doesn't want
Yeah,
to
I'm going
work on
to
it.
help Obi-Wan then for next time because I know you can set a time limit on overtime. So yeah, next time we won't have to wait that long. I hope.
Yeah, let's hope. Because sometimes I've had overtimes that can last like an hour. So fingers crossed. Because yeah, we don't want to just have you bored at home. We want to be able to keep this nice and interesting. If it does get a little bit too long, we might just have to throw to a break and chill out for a second. But over time, yeah, it does often run a little bit longer than it's potentially intended to. Marzo, of course, is the only driver not shown to have taken the checkered flag. So that is, of course, suboptimal. His name is Mart, so no last name for him, just Mart. So Martzo, I guess, is the best that we're going to get for the Dutchman. But coming in through final straight, and there we go. We're
Yes.
fading out. That was a very, very good overtime. I think that's the best we're going to get. We're soon approaching then the green flag waved for this race. What are we thinking, Michael? What are your predictions maybe going into this race? What are we looking forward to? What are we expecting for the next 70 laps?
I think we are expecting some dives into turn one. Definitely, these drivers will be fearless. It's still over open wheeler, so anything can happen. I think at least one car will retire. At least one. It's a very long race. It's 70 laps, so I think at least one car will retire. That's for sure. How about you, Zach? What do you think?
Good question. I don't know. I think Pedro Lopez has got a very, very good grasp on the whole, his whole like qualifying regime. 48.4 was his lap time in qualifying. He's got a firm hold, but again, it's a very, very long race. As we said, 70 long laps, around about 2 hours and 20 of on track racing action. Yeah, I'd be surprised if we don't see some carnage, some chaos, but hopefully some good racing along the way as well. Hopefully the likes of Ryan Skywalker and Costa can really bring a battle to him. And speaking of cars, I mean, you're not going to miss Ryan Skywalker in your rearview mirrors, are you?
We are not. It's a gold car. There's no way you're not going to see this coming for you. Now we'll get such a better view of the grid. Oh, this is for the photo. Don't mind me, just have to do it.
Of course, naturally.
It looks so good.
The most picturesque setting that you can possibly imagine. We're awaiting, I think, again. It's been so long since I've been on a set of Corsa in terms of commentary, way back since a couple of years ago, actually, when I started on a Formula 2 league. Where I imagine we go to 5 red lights on screen, do we not? Or is it just green flag and away we go?
We do. We get lights, but we get those in minutes.
Yeah, in about a minute's
10
time, you can see
seconds, the lights will appear, and then you can just count down. We will start.
and off we go. Fantastic. Well, I mean, you can see them in all their glory, 3 wide all the way down the pit straight from between Woodcut and Copse. It's a long straight, let's put it that way. But yeah, looking forward to this race. You can see Mark and good old Checker. We're still waiting for a couple of cars actually to join us on the grid. Not entirely sure as to what we're waiting for that one, but 3 wide down in towards turn 1. That's it's going to be an exciting one. As you said, I think we're going to see a couple of cars go off. You can see now the 5 red lights, or well, 6 red lights are actually illuminating your screen. We go 3, 4, 5, 6. The 1950 Silverstone Grand Prix to kickstart the Formula 1 World Championship. We are go a very poor start from Pedro Lopez on the very extremities of the left-hand side of the circuit. Ryan Skywalker and Costa get a very good start. It is going to be Ryan Skywalker that leads down in towards turn 1 at Copse. Inside line for Costa, trying to make the move up into second place relative to our pole sitter Pedro Lopez. Outside line for Copse. Everyone slipping and sliding their way through. There's Costa trying to hang on side by side as they emerge on the run in towards Maggots and Beckett. Couple of cars still in the pit lane as you can see there, but a comfortable lead from Ryan Skywalker. Pedro Lopez inside line for Maggots as he runs side by side with Costa. That battle still continuing on. Costa still going to make a good run and maybe actually trying to fabricate a move on Ryan Skywalker. Hanging on really, mainly than anything. There's Alexander the Swede trying to make a move in towards the right-hand side of Maggots as well. They're going to be 2 wide, maybe even 3 wide as they exit the corner in towards the next left-hander of Chapel Curve. Ryan Skywalker, Costa, Lopez, Marzo and Alexander Gray, your top 5 as they head their way down the hanger straight for the first time. And wow, what a start that was. What a comfortable lead so far. Or is it comfortable at all? Costa maybe having a bit of a look. Right-hand side, late braking potentially. Pedro Lopez also just sat there. This surely is going to be a race to remember.
Definitely agree with you. Seems like Costa getting a little bit better corner, but Ryan's still going ahead of the car. Lopez and Costa teammates battling together, the car number 9 and 69. But for the second place, they are teammates. It shouldn't battle that much. It can result in a crash and a loss of point for both of them. Definitely going into one of the last corners into Abbey and going into the farm straight, going down to the last corner. It's still Ryan Skywalker reading. Costa trying to clear the air, going side by side with Ryan Skywalker, trying to take the inside. But Ryan knows his lines and is still first at the end of the first lap.
Wow, what a first lap, what an opening to this season. However, the up and under for Costa could see him retake the lead down in towards Copse corner. Is it going to be the way of the Portuguese driver? He's going to try and get it stuck, and that is going to be the case. However, Ryan Skywalker, straight line exit as possibly as he can, and unfortunately for him, it's not going to be the run that he would have wanted. Has to tuck him behind, but maybe the dive in towards Maggots and Beckett. It's not quite, and he is going to get given the room from Costa, who definitely is starting to feel the pressure. A top 3 breakaway. Costa, Skywalker, Lopez fighting it out for the top place on the podium. Lap 2 of 70, a long way to go in this race, but they are not sparing any expense. They're not caring at all about the fact it's 70 laps. They want the lead of this race right now, and they're going to be fighting tooth and nail for it.
That's definitely true. Ryan's still trying to catch up to Costa. Lopez trying to catch up to Ryan, and that's maybe actually working, putting up the time to Ryan, getting into the slipstream, going side by side with Ryan, going to the stove corner on the inside, and where's Ryan Skywalker? Ryan is in the wall!
Oh my word, the South African, unfortunately, into the barrier, rejoins the circuit just ahead of Voop. Yeah, unfortunately, it's not Ryan Skywalker's day to open this race, so it's Costa and Lopez that now 1 and 2 in this Grand Prix. There's his teammate, actually, Alexander Gray, also in the good old golden Talbot, under pressure onto the podium, but under pressure from Marzo as they run their way in towards Abbey Curve. 3 seconds now, the gap up to the top two, really struggling. However, the gap between the top two is absolutely nothing. Pedro Lopez trying to reclaim his reign at the top of the timesheets. Outside line for Woodcourt, the final corner. However, Costa trying to keep his nose in there, gets the drive off the corner. The number 9 holds firm for Menzies' feet in that top place. P1 for Costa. P3 on the grid to open up this Grand Prix. He leads the end of lap 2 on to 3. And Pedro Lopez, it will get to a point for him, really, where he starts to get a little bit frustrated. He wants that lead back, and hopefully sooner rather than later.
It's definitely true. Lopez still trying to catch. This is a very close race. They ran out from Alexander Gray. He may have some damage touching the wall back there in the second lap. Marzo trying to catch Alexander Gray. Nothing is happening there. Marcel trying to catch Marzo. Nothing as well. Marzo actually gaining time on Alexander Gray. We might see a battle going on here. I said that he losing more and more time. We see the other Goldie car in there. Ryan Skywalker moved on Viv and is now in 7th place, trying to get back into the podium places.
It's a long race, a long way. Oh my word, that could be a long way back from Marzo. Speaking of long ways, so close, but unfortunately to no avail for Marzo. Had a bit of a look and is putting the pressure on to Gray. And I think that is important. And again, you've got to be so brave, so committed. Again, another bit of a look into the next right-hander for Marzo. Not quite what he would have wanted, but a little bit wide there from Gray. Once more, he is flirting with disaster going through club corner. So Marzo is there waiting to pounce, I think, is the strategy. And for you, Michael, I'm not sure on your sim racing experience how much you actually do behind the wheel. But if you were Marzo in this position, how would you be approaching this battle?
I would be in the wall, mate. That's my answer.
fair play. Oh my
That's
word,
a
Marzo.
really nice rip by Marzo, trying and still gaining a little bit of time on Alexander Gray. That's how we do it. Ryan and Anton battling for the 6th place. Seems like Ryan has it under control with the Ferrari getting beaten. Another German in the Ferrari trying to replicate basically what Michael Schumacher did, but it was in a really old era of these cars. Still, the Goldie moves on and is trying to catch the number 5th spot. That's Mark.
Yeah, Mark currently holding that top 5. Ryan Skywalker on a charge back towards the front of the field. Fortunately for him, he has got the pace to contend. But Mark also tripping up over with Marzo in this 3-way fight potentially for 3rd place. Oh my word, that's sideways. That is Mark potentially off the road and could promote Ryan Skywalker easily up into the top 5. The Alfa Romeo of Mark unfortunately tumbling down the timesheets to P7. Very, very wide off the exit of Maggot's corner. That was, again, suboptimal for him, but shows just how easy things can go wrong for these guys. It does not take much. It was literally for him, I think, just getting a little bit too excited in that fight with Marzo.
That just might end anything. One bad drift. It was really good what we saw from. It was Marzo. That's a really good drift. But if he had gotten wrong, he was in the wall, and that's end. He would be, I think, down to P8 or P9 by that time. And we are only in lap 4 of 70. This can go on for so much longer. We are expecting a lot of carnage in this race.
Yeah, I mean, we're not even 5 laps in, and already we've told a full race worth of action. I mean, not quite to that extent maybe, but yeah, we've already got a fair bunch of action. Let's put it that way. I do hope everyone who is watching along at home, of course, on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel, is enjoying. A whole 12 of you. Welcome in. I hope you are enjoying the show. Myself, Zach Sweeney, we've got Michael Sifalda in the commentary booth, talking you through all of the action and plenty of it for the Revival Racing League 1950s Formula 1 round number 1 here live at the Silverstone circuit.
Oh.
There, unfortunately, coming into the pit lane is the Ferrari of Dutch Gamer 2004, and that is going to be a premature end maybe to his race. There is, you can see Mark having a bit of an off. That is between the 13-year-old of Stockhock for P11, so not fighting maybe for a top 10, but a bit of pride and a good little fight maybe materializing here between the Alfa Romeo and the Ferrari.
Definitely for Dutch gamer, that's one way to get into the pit lane. I'm not going to criticize it. You are in the pit lane, repair your damage if you can. Enzo trying to catch more and more down the Simon. Yeah, not the Simon, the South African. The Americans versus the South Africans, I don't think they have a really good history. I don't want to look into that. Enzo still trying to gain time, but is not actually going to almost 2 seconds behind Simon. Do you have any other battles? I think Ryan is closing the gap to Marzo, or it seems like it.
Yeah, sub 1 second now is the gap between Ryan Skywalker, the Team Track Titans, Team Track Drivers alongside Alexander Gray, of course, in the very vibrant, very shiny, very gold Talbot T26C. As we've alluded to a number of times already in this particular broadcast, and we will continue to probably for the entire season. You're going to get sick of hearing Goldie Boy. Jimmy Broadbent, of course, the Britcar Praga Cup 2022 champion named his car
Which he
Goldie.
bought.
Yeah, which he did end up buying as well, which is awesome. Fair play to him. Yeah, Goldie. That doesn't justify the name. That is Goldie. That is Goldie. That is a very very gold car. But anyway, we digress. We're professionals again. We promise. No, we're not. We talk absolute waffle for these races, and we just hope that you
Wafflers.
enjoy them. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah. What do you expect? You tune into a broadcast and you've got people waffling on about as much as they possibly can and try and make it entertaining. That is our job. That's what we try and do, and we hope you enjoy. But regardless, we have got a bit of a fight here. Ryan Skywalker, his pace is dwindling just a little bit, and unfortunately, the field is spreading. The gap between Costa and Pedro Lopez now 2 seconds between the two Ferraris, the number 5 and the number 4 machines. I mean, it's not ideal, really, for Pedro Lopez, considering how quick he was in qualifying.
It was very quick in qualifying, but that doesn't mean that he has a really good race pace. Qualifying is one single flying lap. It's a big difference for the race. It doesn't mean if you have good qualifying, it doesn't mean you are very good into race.
No, by in any stretch of the imagination, absolutely not. And it all started, I think, really with that initial getaway for Pedro Lopez. If he would have just got a better start, a better launch there, wow, Marzo so sideways through the final corner of Woodcote versus Ryan Skywalker. But yeah, it all starts with that race start. It's a case of just getting away well, not getting swallowed up in a pack of cars behind you. It wonders what could have been in the opening stages had Pedro Lopez just on the outside line got a clean launch, got away well, and just had that clear air ahead of him. But yeah, again, shoulda, coulda, woulda. Life's unfair. Suck it up and get on with it is all you really can do. Still 63 laps left to go in this race. Still a lot left to unfold. And for these two, still a battle to be decided. Ryan Skywalker really trying to bridge the gap as much as he can. Getting stuck really around about 0.4 of a second, though. He seems to get to this point and not really be able to close the gap much more than that.
Say that, and he will just appear out of somewhere, just in front of Marzo. This is his specialty. He doesn't even enter track titan community races. He just somehow dives inside in these cars. He just somehow dives the inside, and he just somehow sticks it and gets the position. That's one of his specialties that he can do. He has a lot of them. This car and this driver is full of surprises. So let's see what he can do going side by side into the club corner. As I said, just dives it down the inside and sticks it. That's his specialty. Going again round the outside now, trying to get the 4th position, being side by side with Marzo, going onto the farm straight. This one corner means your whole straight. And he spins!
Oh! He's done it again. It's Ryan Skywalker, unfortunately off the road, this time at Abbey. In a fight with Marzo, it's going to demote his progress. It's going to tarnish his progress. It's going to tarnish his race and put a shadow over all of it. Back now down to P6, now P7 as Mark Bree overtakes him. For Marzo, fair play, did everything he had to hang on. But for Ryan Skywalker, it is going to be a frustrating time for him. But however, does bring an anticlimactic end to what was a fantastic battle. with Ryan Skywalker running on board now at the moment with Anton Azatel. His nickname is Hirimato. We're getting told from Lucas Barbo in the YouTube chat. Couple of fans cheering you on. That's a nice bit of pressure, I'm sure, for Anton. But yeah, he's got that pressure. We've got some fans in the YouTube chat, and of course, we will try and get to everyone as efficiently as possible. But yeah, of course, still a long way left to go. Not even, well, just over 10% of the way through lap 8 of 70. Unfortunately now, however, it's that point in the race where we are getting just a little bit of field spread.
Then Brian is somehow again past Marco. How and when is, I think, my best question. Where did he come from? He was 7th, then he somehow gains them, and now he's 6th. It's the mystery of Ryan Skywalker. Here we go. Brings it to every league. This will be fun.
Yeah, well, yeah, yeah, absolutely. Too much pressure for Ryan. We're getting told from Alex Heller to, yeah. I mean, again, it's that thing, isn't it? It's of composure. It's of being able to shrug off mistakes and carry on well, which Ryan Skywalker did do for a vast portion of this race, and was able to recover quite well. However, it got to a point where that inclination of that mistake will always still be in the back of your mind, and it will cast a shadow over you. It will cause doubts, as we see that that Dutch game in 2004 back off of the circuit, back onto the track, but back off the circuit, unfortunately for the Dutchman. But yeah, it again, you're always going to have that shadow of a doubt from previous mistakes in the back of your mind, and that lack of confidence is going to, unfortunately, maybe tarnish your run of making future mistakes. And for Ryan Skywalker, his confidence is going to have been an all-time low. However, he's closing the gap back on to Anton Azatel, the German, for the top 5. This could still be good.
He's back at it again. Somehow just catching so much time. I don't know where he's getting all this time from. If I actually had a graphic, I think we would see the fastest laps that Ryan can get. This is awesome. Right now, look how much speed he's carrying into the stretch and into the corner. So going round the outside, and he's clear of Anton. Is something just, I think only maybe he can do just so much speed, even carrying it around the outside, not even drifting the car, just pushing it to the limit, just power sliding the car through these corners. And I think that's what he's doing, and it's working really well, as we can see. Just getting more and more time, and just racing back in the top 5. Here we go for Ryan.
He's doing such a good job, and again, is one of those drivers, as I was saying, who can just shrug off those mistakes as efficiently as possible. The man himself, we've got Obi-Wan into the commentary booth for, of course, just a brief moment, while he gives you a good insight, I think, into the analysis of how things are run here, of course, for the Revival Racing League, and the strategy element that can come in to Silverstone. I think it's going to be a tough one for sure. It's one that, again, these drivers aren't going to be too familiar with. These classic cars aren't things that we see too often at the top flight of esports at all. So these guys are going to have to sort of adapt quite quickly to a new strategy.
Yeah, these cars, they're divided into two, I think. There's the supercharged cars, the Alfa Romeo and the Ferrari 125, and the naturally aspirated. The supercharged cars tend to use a bit more fuel, but they have a better power to weight ratio. So I would say the optimum strategy here is a two-stop around lap 24 or something. And yeah, the Talbot is just flying right now, but he needs to find the consistency, I guess, to get up to the podium again. There is, yeah. So, okay, I'm just watching Skywalker here. Yeah,
Let's go
the
Walker
1
then.
to 5. Sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. Come on.
Yeah, the 1 to 5 is looking very racy, but it is also very very high on fuel usage. I'm curious to see if the two front runners are going to run a two-stop because their pace is so good. I figure they might have to pit 3 times. That's going to be an interesting one to see. I literally have no idea what the teams are planning. I I intentionally didn't ask because I want them to figure it out for themselves, and it's it's gonna be interesting seeing the first pits. But we're still a while from it. It's still only lap 11. We need to, yeah, probably around lap 18 if they're doing 3 stops. And yeah, that's about it. As for the Talbot, is looking so quick right now. I think maybe I made it a bit too quick in the BOP, but then again, my goal for this league is not necessarily to have all the cars be perfectly even in even race, but the Talbot is a car that it can jump from being really quick in one track and really slow in the other because it's really fast on the straights, but a bit weak in the corners, and really bad brakes. But yeah, in Silverstone it is flying, but it's not winning, so I don't think it's that overpowered. The Alfa Romeo is it's not looking good, but I would say the best driver of the Alfa Romeo is Boris, and he couldn't make the race. I would say if he was here, I think he would make the Alfa Romeo like look competitive like the other cars. But it's running in 7th, the best one. I think it's fine. And yeah, these cars, I think the first 10 laps or so were very exciting to watch. There was some great racing, and at no point did anyone take out or dive bomb another driver, which in a set of Corsa, that is something else. You don't see it usually. So I'm really proud of how the league is turning out so far. It's, you know, I couldn't expect there to be these little incidents in the first lap. I thought someone's just gonna cause an accident turn one, but you know, these drivers are making me proud.
I think Ryan Skywalker would make you really proud coming to race with Mart. So again, going down to, I think as low as I saw was 1/10 of a gap between Mart. So
Yeah, it is flying. That Talvo, the best feature about it is that it's very consistent. If you pick a line, it will do the same thing every lap. Other cars, like the Alfa Romeo, are very inconsistent depending on how much fuel they've got. The Talbot, you know, full tank, almost no fuel. It always drives more or less with the same balance. Super consistent, and he's showing it.
look
Let's
at
see if he
this
can make it this time. Ooh,
clean
clean.
overtake down the
Yeah,
inside.
he
It's what
learned
we
that the
love to
outside
see.
isn't good there.
We've seen an overtake on the outside as well. Talbot seems to be really good for any type of overtake. So
Yeah.
let's see where he can get.
Oh, he's lapping Enzo, I think. There we go. You let him by. So I think Zach is back.
Yeah, I'm here, ladies and gents. Sorry, I just had to run off and do something very, very quickly. But you're in the very capable hands of Michael and Obi-Wan for the moment. I'm sure they both gave you some very, very good insight as to what is going on so far in this race. And as it stands, just going to give you a quick rundown as to the running order of things. At the moment, Costa still leads, however, by a smaller margin to Pedro Lopez, our pole sitter, and is under Graham P3 with Ryan Skywalker and Martin. So your top 5. Then comes Anton Ezatel P6, Mark Claymore, Evop, and Josh Madison, your top 10, with Simon Slottok, Mark, and Dutch Gamer, the rest of the field. Still a long way to go left in this race, and still a lot of questions left to be answered. The Portuguese driver of Pedro Lopez trying to close into Costa just in front of him and make his reign back at the top more, reclaim it basically, is what he's trying to do, reaching the first end of lap traffic. But these two cars have been teasing each other, flirting with each other, sort of in a weird sense, in terms of their battle and how they want to approach it. Pedro Lopez, unfortunately, has not been close enough up until this point in the race. Now is a perfect opportunity to do that, and he's going to want to try and take it with both hands. He's the closest he's been in a long time, so it's now sort of maybe or maybe not never, but it could now well be now or never for him to make his move.
It's definitely true.
Yeah,
I see
that's
Alexander Ryan is now trying to catch up to his teammate Alexander Gray, and I think Costa and Pedro want to do anything dumb, or I hope so. It would ruin their chances to win, basically. If they both crash, they would have to go to the pit lane. That means Alex and Ryan would have first and second place.
For sure, and I really cannot wait to see how this battle unfolds. 8 cents, of course, is the gap. Lap 15 of 70. It's a long way to go, isn't it, Obi? I think there's still a long way to go. The track's long. The cars are slightly slower than we see in modern Formula One. We're only on to now lap 15 of 70, and I think for the drivers as well as us, it's gonna be a long one. You have to just sort of anchor in and get into the rhythm of things.
Yeah, we have been running 50-minute races every week, and we finish them pretty tired. I think it's gonna by the second or third stint, it's gonna show the fatigue. Some mistakes are gonna come out. I almost guarantee it.
That's great. We will drop that at the end of the race.
Pretty much. I mean, nowadays in sim racing, you've got a very heavy focus on hardware and things. I mean, particularly in the PC scene of things, you've got Fanatec, Thrustmaster, Logitech, Huxenveld, Simucube. You've got so many different brands all trying to make the best hardware possible. And nowadays, you've got such a high end of things that steering wheels and force feedback and things have taken such a massive step forward to this time 10 15 years ago or whenever it was. There is such a huge development in the sense that the forces you feel just sat in your bedroom or sat in an office space or whatever on a simulator are very, very high, sort of 15-20 newton meters of force. That's a lot. That is a lot to take, and it's particularly in cars like these as well. Not fantastic suspension, skinny tires, bumpy tracks, a lot of power, a lot of slides. That is a lot of force for quite a lot of this race. Isn't it, Michael? I mean, we're on to now on to lap 15 already. If this were me, I'd be starting to feel the force, and they still have just such a long way to go. Your forearms are going to be so tired, to the point that I wouldn't imagine that during their pit stops that these guys maybe tweak their force feedback settings a little.
Shane, you have to tweak it before the race. I think it's 3 or 2 endurance races, 24 hours. And all the time, the first thing I did before the race or the quali started was I tweaked the force feedback down so I wouldn't be dead at the end of my stint. I know Ryan and Alex already have practice from this, so I think they already done this. But yeah, maybe if the guys didn't expect it, yeah, this can bring a lot of pain as well to the arms. But yeah, this is going to be a long race for everyone.
Yeah, the worst part really is like the counter steering, because there is so much of that going on. The steering isn't that heavy, but when you have to drive on the edge for 70 laps, it really tires your arms out.
Alexander Gray, what happened? He's in the wall at the start-finish straight.
similar mistake, I think, to what most people have had, which is just running a little bit wide, maybe at club corner. Getting told from, I think, almost everyone has a Logitech T300, so the force feedback wasn't not a Logitech T300. That's Thrustmaster's brand, the
Thrustmaster.
Logitech or T300. That's just me being an idiot, basically. Actually, yeah, no, that's a good point. Actually, we can have a look as to what people have got in their simulator. So T300, we've got controller. Who's on the controller? Wow.
I
We've got
think they have
Benjamin Cartier.
maybe a little bit of advantage with that. With
Yeah.
No.
it's easier to drift on a joystick. I
Okay, but it's
have
a
that
set of
figure out.
Corsa.
It's
Let's
yeah,
remember it's
in
a
a
set
set
of
of course
Corsa.
So it might be actually easier for your hands because the only thing that's going to be sore is your thumb and
Yeah.
pressing the freaking gas. That's all.
Fair enough.
That's
I mean,
all the things you need. Otherwise, you are fine. You're just vibing. This might
yeah,
actually be an advantage and might be better in the long run.
maybe, but he's not actually turned up today, so I
Well,
guess we'll never know. But yeah, no, it's ironic that we talk about that. We've got a couple of Logitech G27s, a T300, G29. However, we've got who's this? It is Claymore 17. Clayton Davis has got himself his couch, a VR, and a direct drive wheel. Direct
Wait,
drive
no.
is that's what it says. No,
Clayton.
G25. No.
Yeah.
Other one. It's Josh Madsen. Sorry. Again, I'm just being an idiot. It's Josh Madsen with a direct drive wheel. It's that force. It's not belt or gear driven like your T300s, like your G29s. It's straight to the steering rim. That is a lot of force. So talking that the most people won't be feeling that immersion. Josh Madsen certainly will be. And unfortunately for him, he's going to be slightly exhausted. But it's a good step. It's a good step forward, I think. Do you not agree, everyone? Is that sim racing has taken such a step forward in recent years, particularly, I guess, with COVID and things like that. We'll come back to that point in just a second because Ryan Skywalker and Alexander Gray, the two teammates, are going to be running side by side for Team Track Titans. Oh my word, that is a picturesque shot running off the exit of turn number I believe that is of Maggots. I think of Mackens Beckett's and into Chapel. So now down the hangar straight, Ryan Skywalker and Alexander Gray still running side by side. Outside line, of course, for the for the inside line for the South African. Of course, the Swede is going to be beached on the outside for Stowe, and I think that might well be Ryan Skywalker back onto the podium during this Grand Prix onto lap 17 of 70. But back to that point, Obi, as I was saying, is the sense that over the course of the last few years, you've seen how sim racing has really made a name for itself, relative, of course, to real life racing, how it's been now used as a stepping stone into the real world.
Absolutely. When I started was around 2014, more or less when Assetto Corsa came out. I bought a G27, and just a few years later, it exploded. It went viral, and then a few years after that, the COVID pandemic, I think, made it even more intense because everyone was stuck at home, and people decided to get themselves some wheels. And I think it was. I mean, the COVID wasn't great, but the fact that sim racing has grown so much is definitely awesome. And yeah, talking about Josh Madsen, I don't think he's gonna get tired because I've been a teammate with him in iRacing, and he's done like 5 hour stints. he's a proper big ball man, like the other guy was saying. He won't get tired. He's got a lot of experience racing real racing dirt cars in the US, so I don't think he cares that much about sim racing
Fair
in
play.
terms of stamina. So yeah, in fact, I think he told me he started doing it to rehab his shoulder. It's like
Fair enough.
cool.
I mean, that's cool. I mean, you use it for whatever reason you need to.
Yeah.
But yeah, sim racing has just catapulted itself. And I do love it. I do love just tuning into esports racing right at the top flight. You know, when you go to sort of Team Redline and Apex Racing Team and etc. etc. They do put on some really good shows, and also sort of the bridge between sim racing and real life racing. James Baldwin, Jimmy Broadbent, Deegan Fairclough, and Monica Bottom Ramos now most recently making their way into the real world of racing. Michael Bottom Ramos and Deegan Fairclough are going to be taking to British F4 in 2023. Jimmy Broadbent, of course, is a driver who started out making YouTube videos in his mum's shed, is now a Praga Cup 2022 champion. James Baldwin, race winner in British GT as well after winning World's Fastest Gamer. I think, yeah, there's just so much potential for sim racing, and already it's starting to prove what it can do and what it has done. It's phenomenal. It's fantastic and really will start to ferment itself. And not only that, not only does it serve as a good purpose for those that really want to get into the world of real life racing or to the top flight of esports, it's also just so fun to just sit down, get a car, and just go around a track.
Or just go down to Hall of Europe. That's Euro Truck Simulator for you. Just vibing around Europe. It's actually pretty good.
It's
I'm
chill.
addicted.
Again, you just get some tunes, get some tunes in your ear, get yourself a nice lorry load and get yourself down. I mean, whatever you want to use sim racing for, you can. There's so much, and again, it's not a case of you're limited by logistics or anything like that in sim racing. You could be driving Fiat 500s around Alton Park, and then in 5 minutes you could be driving Indy cars at I don't know, Talladega or Indy 500 or wherever. I don't really care. Indies at Talladega is a very weird but fun combination. Anyway, I digress.
Talladega,
But
that would be a death sentence.
it is. It was. Trust me, it was.
Uh,
Indies at Talladega. It was fun. It was funny as well. But anyway, yeah. There's a lot you can do with sim racing, and it's just so versatile, so awesome. And does the job. So really have fallen in love with it, and as an industry has grown. There is Marzo having a bit of a tough time, unfortunately for him, in P5 for the Dutchman. He's getting closed in. Is that by Anton? As Azel just in behind him? It is indeed. About 4.5 seconds now is the gap between the two Ferraris. Marzo's mistake wasn't enough for Azel to catch back up, but has allowed him to bridge the gap just a little bit. But yeah, Marzo and consistency as a whole, really, Obi-Wan, has been so telling throughout this race. I mean, already we've seen mistakes from the likes of Ryan Skywalker, Marzo, Pedro Lopez right at the start of the race. It's basically keep your nose clean, and chances are you are going to score quite well.
Absolutely. The 375 is particularly good on fuel, so if he can keep this up, he might pit less than the 125 in front of him. He might have a big advantage. We don't know until the pit stops come out. It's like a secret, a trade secret. Like who's gonna pit first, who isn't. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the pit strategies are. And if he's gonna overtake Marzu, it's not an easy job overtaking these cars unless you're Ryan Skywalker, because he keeps having to do it. But yeah.
Speaking of Ryan, he just vibing the car. Let's look behind him. Basically, no one in front of him. There's a corner. But yeah, this is a beautiful livery as well. I see Alex overtaking a back marker. It's both very beautiful cars. Alex taking the grass there. That's amazing. While not spinning out as well. I think Marzo tried to do that, and that's why he had the little wiggle. But yeah, these cars are beautiful.
We got our first pit stop, by the way.
Oh,
Phil.
we actually do.
Yeah. He's Oh wait. Yeah. There is a pit stop. I almost got fooled. I looked behind and saw two towers. I'm like, oh,
This
well,
is our
that's us.
first pit stop. You can see
that is
also
a
a
bit
beautiful
early.
livery as well. But it's not, because I think Dodgy Gamer had the first one. It was Anton or someone. I think someone can clip it. We will see it back in the stream. But yeah, someone did a very great pit stop entry. So
the the wall grind, I think that was.
yeah, it was like
Only-
off the wall.
Yeah, I think Phil here in the Alfa Romeo, you will have to pit 3 times because I don't see you pitting twice while pitting on lap 21, but that's the
I
first
learned.
one.
I will not alt tab, otherwise the frame rate will suffer. And I mean suffer.
Yeah, CPU occupancy is that the
It might be it. And Intel Core i5 12th gen. This is got a new PC for Christmas. It's absolutely great, fucking amazing. Oh, I shouldn't swear, but it's great. It works. How Alex Heller said, average race PC, a bit below master race for streaming, but at least it does exist. It's
yeah.
a good computer. You can see the graphics are good. We are running the stream in 60 FPS. Dutch gamer is running his car into the wall. Please stop. Get some
Yeah.
help.
The LODs might be the cause because the liveries weren't showing from a distance, so we had to increase
Oh,
the
no,
LODs.
it's not the
and...
LODs. It's me alt stabbing, and then the game is running in the background and suffering.
Right.
So, I know the mistake, so I should be prepared for the next time. I just wanted to increase the volume so you guys can hear the beautiful screaming roaring engines. We go back to F5. The Ferrari is not that loud, but the Talbot is completely silent.
The Talbot, I think, let's keep this a secret, but I think it uses the engine from the 250 GTO. Yeah, which doesn't make much sense because one is an inline 6 and the other is a V12. But
Now we could hear that was the Ferrari. That's an amazing sound. I love it. These cars are great for this. I wonder when we will race with the 2004 era of Michael Schumacher. Those
gonna
engine sounds are immaculate. Those are freaking great. I love them.
think in about 20 years time we'll get there.
No, no.
We're
Just
not in
next
a
season
hurry.
just next season we will skip to 2004 just to hear those great sounds.
There's
Cars.
leagues that run that, I guess.
Yeah, I think there's someone makes a league that's only to F 2004, so it can be balanced. The most.
You only have one car, it makes it very easy to balance, yes.
Yeah. But that sound, just even going through Eau Rouge, I love doing that when I'm alone at home. Just putting everything to max volume, putting my headphones on, and just listening to the roar of the engine. It's great to hear these engines as well. With the field spread out, it's not fortunate that we cannot hear basically the NASCAR V8s, I will say, that just go. Those cars are bunched up, so we can just hear it together, and it's great.
Yeah. I love, like, there are some cars in Assetto Corsa that don't sound good, but in the external view, it does sound pretty good. Like the 2004 Ferrari, you kind of hear it reverberating on the echo and stuff like that.
I think forgot his name. I shouldn't forget my co-commentator's name.
Zach.
Right, listen. Okay, it's there on the Discord. All right, I know you're in the game. I know you're concentrating and everything. I'm right here. I've been listening to you two waffle on. It's been great. You've had a lovely little conversation. But no, ladies and gents, I am here. I am just chilling. I'm just listening. It's great. I've had nothing to add. These two have been in lovely hands. I might as well not even be here. It'd be fun. No, I'm joking.
No,
I'm
you
enjoying-
sound great, mate. Commentate, go,
thanks.
do your thing.
Thank you. I'll do my thing. All right, sweet. Well, mate, you've put me on the spot now. It's great. I just hope everyone at home is enjoying along. We've got the big man James Parfit in the YouTube chat as well, giving us his thoughts and feelings. And as he always does, he loves to get involved. The big man at the top, very, very humble in his achievements. VCO, Simi, top 5 nominee for best commentary as well. As we saw there, a bit of a spin from Simon Stotok, I believe. There's Pedro Lopez into the pit lane. First of the quote-unquote front runners to make his way down into the very unorthodox pit lane here at Silverstone. But same too with Alexander Gray. Both of them are into the pit lane. Earlier than Costa and Ryan Skywalker. Of course, Obi, you are more well-versed in terms of the strategy than myself and Michael are. An early stop. What does this mean? What knock-on effect is this going to have later down the line in terms of this race?
Well, I think the lap 24 is about what the 125 will do on a full tank. So it's as late as possible as they can pit. And yeah, that's Phil took an early stop early. I guess he's doing a 3-stopper. The front runners are doing a 2-stopper. The Talbot, I think, is the best car on fuel. But I don't think a 1-stop is possible. But we'll see if someone's trying to do that.
It's going to be a stretch. I mean, particularly in these cars, they are fuel guzzling machines. I mean, you guys were talking about engine sizes and things like that. I mean, the Ferrari 375, it's got it's a 4.5 V12, which is a lot of cylinders, a lot of fuel, a lot of bang, basically. And also with the whole with the Talbot, I think. I mean, the Alfa Romeo. What is the Talbot and the Alfa 1.6s, aren't they? Or is the Talbot 4.5 as well?
I think the Alpha and the 125 are 1.5 liters supercharged, because if you have 1.5 you get to have some forced induction. And the other two are naturally aspirated, but it's counterintuitive because Ryan have a bit of a moment.
Yeah, another one for Ryan Skywalker. Oh, that was close to the very vibrant fluorescent car. I think of I don't even know how to explain that one, really. But yeah, it was it's a very colourful car. Let's put it that way. A bit of a fight further back, side by side, between a couple of cars in their bid for 10th. Costa now into the pit lane as well. But that was Simon Stotok. You can see there, red, pink, blue, green, the entire colour spectrum basically on his car. Yeah, very, very rainbow, very, very vibrant, ticks off all the boxes, and too many colours for me to name. Honestly, in the UK, I don't know about other countries internationally, we've got a thing called yellow car punch, where if we see a yellow car, we've got to punch people. And I play it with my mates, and I play it with my family and everything like that. And it's a case of... I know, I say that right. I will. It doesn't have yellow, no. But basically, for me, no. I'll look at a car and be like, oh, that's yellow, and then I'll hit someone, and then they'll be like, Zach, that's green, and I'll be like, what? And I'll be like, it's yellow, and they'll be like, no, it's green. Zach, are you okay? Or it'll be slightly orange, and I'll be like, are you sure? So it has raised some concern. With that though, I did write my GCSE exams in a green pen, or at least some of them. We were only meant to have them in black pen. I genuinely got confused. We'll talk about the colour blindness another day. But thank you, Simon, for a very vibrant car, because, at least I can pick up some of the colours. We've got red, pink, purple, blue, and then like a teal green sort of colour.
Yes, teal. Teal. It's teal.
and then green. I don't know. It's a car. It's colourful. It's a Ferrari, and then you got gold. Just pure gold. It's lovely. On Ryan Skywalker. Unfortunately for him, this probably isn't going to be the best pit stop sequence for him. While he is leading the way, I have a feeling he's going to have to want to enjoy leading the race while he can, Michael. Bearing in mind that when he does come into the pit lane, I'm going to be under the impression he's going to be a fair way off the front two.
Might happen because, well, now if you look, the lead, the whole, just everything changed up a lot. If I don't want to go back to Simon, where is he's in pit? Fine. Playmore going into the pit as well. So I think Ryan and I haven't seen Mark. I think those two are the only ones that didn't go into the pit lane.
Oh man, Mart just had a massive crash.
Who? That?
Mart.
Marts.
Yeah, Marzo.
He's
What
not at the
happened to
best of
him?
days.
He went sideways into the wall. Not sure what the corner name is.
There's something called track description. I have it here because I'm dumb on corner
Yeah.
names, so I use that.
Yeah.
But it seems, oh, Alex, we got the only two doubles. Is it? It's something like that. Am I right? It's like a double.
Yes.
I don't remember the name of the car. Uh, these two guys leading, and Alexander Gray almost having a minute of a lead. I think he can pit. Just finally, he doesn't have a care in the world,
Yeah.
and he still
Pit
doesn't
stop
pit.
should be around 70 seconds, I think. I believe. For full tank.
70?
If you put less than full tank, should be a bit less. Yeah, these cars take 320 liters. So
Too much
big tank.
calculations. I
Yeah.
know why I'm not a strategist, and this is why. I'm too bad at racing. That's why I'm here in the commentary box.
Yeah.
Oh.
A good friend of mine, Arjuna Kankapati, he always says those that can't do teach, in terms of sim racing, those that can't do teach and those that can't teach commentate, basically, is what he says, alluding to the fact that commentators are completely useless when it comes to on-track action, which for the most part is very true. We are horrible, and it's not great. I say that. Good friend of mine, Will Chadwick, he's a Team Fordzilla driver. He's fantastic on the track, kind of, and he's also really good in the commentary booth. So I guess there is some element of not truth to that. But yeah, commentators, as a general rule, don't ever trust them on a lot of on a number of things. Actually, don't ever trust them with maths. Don't ever trust them with driving. Just don't trust commentators. Full stop. Essentially, is that. And there's Marzo. He probably should be a commentator with the way he's driving.
Oh,
I don't want to say it in the meanest way possible, but Matzo, no, he's having a struggle, and you've got to feel for him in cars like these. I know we've spoken about it a number of times, but I'm going to talk about it again. These cars are not easy cars to drive. Let's put it that way, Michael. They are just they're a tough one, as we say, with so much power, with so little downforce and such little grip.
you know what stuff to
You can
drive?
understand.
A bathtub. We raced them around this Silverstone. It was so much fun. We were full laughing and everything. It was a little bit, maybe we got too much fun from it. In from 15 minutes races, but I think those were right into pits. So let's see if Alexander Gray can overtake. But that was, I think, the most fun I ever had racing. Is bathtubs. And great question is for the drivers, who do they think they are? Paul Volcker. I would love not to bring IRL people into this a lot. So oh no. The response to this is even better. Alexander Gray overtaking Ryan, so it's more than a minute of pit stop. Interesting to know.
Big fuel tank though, so it is going to take a long time to change. Are they changing tires as well, Obi-Wan, or is that the tires good to last? Are they changing tires? Yeah.
They aren't. They used to be the meta because the file said tire change was 10 seconds, but now I made sure that doesn't happen. It's 120 seconds to change a tire, but I did make them last the whole race comfortably, which is what it should be. So it's not really a part of the strategy.
Fair enough. Okay, naturally so. I mean, back in 1950, pit stops were no. You basically, to change a tire back in the 1950s was lift the car up, get a spanner on it, and just hack away at the wheel nut trying to get it off. Whereas pit stops mainly were mainstream introduced, I think, in the 1970s. Off the top of my head, again, I've done an extensive amount of research regarding that one, but it was around that time. They've not been the refined 1.88 second pit stops that we see today. you oftentimes just haven't had them. But when you've got tire compounds like these that will just last forever because of how hard they are, yeah, they can go a long time. And it's good that Obi-Wan has reflected that, I think, and have that element of realism, because we are here trying to relive the 1950 Silverstone Grand Prix.
Yeah, and
Oh, that's a
this
spun car
is
on the inside, and that is Anton Azatel heading straight into the banking at the end of the circuit.
Oh my
Unfortunate
god.
for the German, but
someone
again, these
asked
cars are
for one
so tricky to
Anton.
drive.
This
Yeah,
is,
you've got to
I
feel
think,
for
the
him.
commentator's curse or something, because that's unreal. I switched them and did happen. Okay. That's just a curse. It applies to broadcasters as well, I guess now.
No, I
So-
mean, no such in my opinion, personally, right? In my opinion, there is no such thing as the commentator's curse and only bad driving. On someone's part, right? I don't think that was Azatel's fault at all. I
It
think
wasn't.
it
It
was
wasn't.
not. There was a car parked on the inside. There was tire smoke he couldn't see, and these cars, you're on the absolute limit of adhesion as it is. You can see Zatel through Abbey is just wrestling the car through. You're braking as late as you can. You're turning in as late as possible. These cars have not got the responsiveness that you need to avoid an incident like that. So for him, it was just a moment of panic and
You know
trying
what,
to
Zach? Go on a
Go on.
flying lap with Anton right now. Have fun.
Here we go. Let's have a little look. Let's have a look. On board with him right now. You can see how just skinny these cars are. Basically, as I said a bit earlier on, a glorified go-kart in towards turn one at Cops, really slowing the car down and actually turning it in quite tamely, and only really getting a slide on the exit. Going out of Cops, now in towards Maggots and in towards Beckett's. Very, very altered to what it is nowadays. A very fast left-hand kink for Maggots. Still sideways as he approaches the braking zone for Beckett's. Trying to heel and toe his way down. H-pattern shifters, of course, for the Ferrari 375. Trying to get on the power as efficiently as possible. Now off the exit of Beckett's and running his way through in towards the next very long left-hander of Trapple Curve. You've got to be really, really committed as to not do some lawn mowing on the outer extremities of the circuit. Down the hanger straight in towards Stowe, still very, very long and still very, very fast is the hanger straight in towards the Stowe complex, but very, very slow in, very cautiously in is Anton Azatel, and just trying to bring the car in nice and tamely, hit a good apex. He's driving this car as if it's not got a massive 4.5 litre V12 engine sitting right behind him. He's driving it as if he's got traction control, really.
In front of
You're
him.
not really seeing much in terms of a slide or twitches or anything like that. He's being very, very smooth. And it's good in that regard, I guess, to save tyres or whatever and be cautious. But those towards the front of the pack, you can see how aggressive they're being with these cars. What is the driving style of choice? Is it better? Because my original prediction was that these guys are just going to be chucking it in and hoping for the best. But Azatel is really keeping it clean. I don't actually know what's quicker. Is it the case of the fast guys are the ones that are committed and brave and bold and trying to chuck the car in? Or are the quick ones the ones like Azatel who are being smooth and civil with the car?
No, but what I know, if we want to see a difference, we can look at Ryan Skywalker, who is driving in VR, and my prediction came right. We have our first DNF, and that's Simon Stotok. So, here we go.
Do we know the cause?
No, I think ask him into Discord. But
Um,
Can have a
let's
quick chat
see.
with him.
Now we could have a very big difference with Ryan, which I will try to get a flying lap with him if he doesn't mess it up. So, Mart's been overtaken by Lopez, but that's fine. Actually, a little bit checking it down the inside, a little bit of a drift by Ryan Skywalker, and here we go on a flying lap with Ryan Skywalker and see if there are any difference. Ryan having a little bit of trouble, seems like, while braking, seems like filling with the car. Trying a little bit slower, but then still putting on the throttle through cops and more speed. Now going into higher gear, going close to Beckett's. Well, not the Maggots, I'm so sorry. And the Maggots still, it seems the same. Now coming to Beckett's, a better braking zone than coming into cops. Because still really smooth. He isn't doing any of that movement that Zach predicted it to be, and he's still having really cool. Anton overtaking Claymore 17, that's really good. Still, he just power slide into the car through these corners. Hunger straight, it's a straight. I don't think he can do anything that's worth mentioning on a straight. Just go fast, go straight. Getting the apex right, going as close to the wall as he can with the apex, and close to the edge as well. Still really smooth handling. It's basically almost the same as we saw at Anton. Now coming into club corners, still very smooth, keeping it on the apex. I think he got the handling under control. That's really cool to see. Still not sliding. I think we saw the sliding at the start of the race just to that just to do something, but still this is really well taken of a real well taken corner, just actually driving it straight and not power sliding it. And now power sliding it into root code. And as we see, there is not much difference in the driver that is now second but knows how to cut through the field, and Anton, who is fifth.
Yeah, it's driving styles and things. Yeah, it's one of those things that really do adapt drivers to drive. But also remember that Anton and Ryan are both in very different chassis. The Ferrari 375 for his Atel, Skywalker in, of course, the Talbot-Lago T26C. Again, that is going to play a bit of a factor. Different engines, different engine sizes, different weights at the back of the car, different designs overall to the chassis. Another driver, Jean Do, in the YouTube chat, 70 laps in these is going to be exhausting. We've already spoken about that topic, but I guess we can bring it up very briefly again, in the sense that yes, these cars are going to be very, very physical. If you have got your force feedback turned all the way up, just in general, really mentally exhausting. We've not really touched on the whole mental fatigue of things very much. In some aspects, this is an endurance race. They're driving for 2.5 hours at a time throughout the course of this race, and that is going to take a toll mentally for these guys to constantly be 100% focused to make sure that these cars don't spin out and completely throw them off the circuit, and make sure that they are pointing the right way. That takes a lot of focus and a lot of energy in order to manage to do that, Oberon.
For sure. I mean, we've been doing 50-minute races, and after some of them we're already exhausted, and I can't see, maybe 2.5 times that. That is a rough time in these cars. I'm wondering if did the Talbot pit already?
Yeah, that was bit both.
I guess they're gonna win then, right? I mean, not.
They are.
Who knows? But they're looking like they're gonna win right now.
So I'm going to have to move my computer, and I think my FPS will suffer massively from this because being connected out of the power while being on a laptop. Then I think the stream will still go on, but it will be a little laggy till I move. So I'm going to try this risky maneuver and hope it can not go wrong. I think that's the best thing I can do. So I will be muted for a second, and you guys try and commentate on, I hope, what will still work.
There's an exciting battle here for fifth between Anton and Clayton. These two great-looking cars, by the way. I think Clayton has been catching him throughout the race, and Anton made the mistake. So it'll be interesting. I'll see if he can stay in front or not, because they have very close pace, I think. Yeah, both in mid 52s.
Yeah, very, very close on pace indeed. And now they're very, very close on the circuit, both in the Ferrari 375 as well. So it's all down to the driver. There's no excuses. No, oh, he's got a better car than me. Nothing of that. No, you gotta suck it up, sunshine. You've got to get a move on. And for Azatel, he's gonna definitely be starting to feel the pressure in this fight for fifth, because it is a good staple point of the race. You know, you've got different breakdowns of milestones, I think, in racing. In essentially, everyone wants to win. That's the first one. And then a podium. You want to be on the podium. Second or third, unless you're in a championship, second or third, no difference to me. It's still a podium. Same with the top five. Fourth or fifth, no difference. It's still a top five. Then, of course, you separate. If you separate out, if you see the top eight as a milestone, you might want to aim for a top 8 or a top 10, top 15, finishing the race, whatever. There are different milestones, and a top 5 is certainly going to be one of them for Clayton Davis in that number 2 machine Ferrari, just in behind the German that we're riding on board with now of Anton Azatel. And, well, you've got Lucas Babo in the YouTube chats cheering on the German, making sure that he is trying to hold firm, stick his feet in the ground, anchor down, and hold firm to that 5th place. But Claymore does seem to be not very... he's not relenting any sort of pressure. He is constantly badgering Azatel for some track position, wanting to maybe force the mistake. And in cars like these, at a stage of the race like this, that's really what you need to do.
Yes, and I have to say, running with these guys for a bit, Clayton, his strength is for sure the consistency. He doesn't really make mistakes. We've done about 16 or 17 races, and until a few races ago, he had never finished below 2nd place, which is just a crazy stat. He might not be the fastest always, but he's always consistent. Anton, he is a little bit more inexperienced. He has potential. As we can see, he's still having a very good race, but he has a tendency to get in his own head, you know, make mistakes. He's lost a bunch of podiums by mistakes he shouldn't be making. So let's see if he can, you know, improve and get a good score, because points is until 6th place, so they're fighting for points here.
They are indeed, and Claymore trying to put the pressure on now. Outside line into the next very fast right-hander of Woodcote that leads you on to the pit straight. He has got the up and under. He has got the better drive down the pit straight. Is it enough for Clayton Davis in towards turn number 1? Is he going to ferment himself inside the top 5? He's going to go in sideways between the two Ferraris, and now it is going to be Anton Azatel who goes to the outside line. It'll very quickly turn into the inside for Maggots if he can keep his nose ahead, virtually level as they run their way through in towards the next left-hander. The fight for 5th rages on, and it is still going to go the way of the German, of Azatel, who hangs on at least for now. Claymore, very, very close, and a very good effort, it must be said, from the Ferrari, just to at least have a look, to put some pressure on. And now what he said is he has cemented himself in this fight. He has said, okay, Azatel, you're now focusing on me, then you are focusing forward. Now the pressure's on, down the hanger straight on that run in towards Stowe. Azatel defensive to the, oh, actually no, that's lap traffic in car, in fact, indeed. Azatel is under no pressure whatsoever in his Ferrari, and now Claymore is still trying to, again, put the pressure on as we approach the halfway point of this race, lap 36 of 70, and a good milestone in this race, and the fighting definitely has not subsided by any stretch of the imagination. Still very, very close. Outside line again for Anton Clayton. Anton Clayton? Getting their two names mixed up. It's Clayton Davis, of course, and it's Anton Azatel just in front of him, but yeah, well, these two certainly cannot get enough of each other at all. Outside line for Club and in towards Abbey. That's not going to be where you want to go for a move at all. Up and under. This could be a fantastic move, Obi-Wan.
Oh man, he's got the run on him, but he's going to be on the outside for the final corner. Oh, I think he's cleared him already. Move done. Or, no, he's still there. Incredible racing. It's just an entire lap of side-by-side action right here.
You couldn't ask for more. You really couldn't ask for more, could you? And now, once again, on that run in towards Stowe, he's just about got his wheel ahead. But again, oh my word! The German, very, very sideways, taps the barrier, and around he goes. It was so close to saving it. but way too hot, way too desperate on the brakes. And unfortunately for poor Lucas Barbo, that is going to be an end to Azator's bid for 5th place, at least in this stage of the race. And a clumsy mistake, and again, you can understand where that was coming from. For Azator, it was just a case of wanting to keep that 5th place, and unfortunately for him, he just fought a little bit too hard for it, sent a bit too late on the brakes, sideways going in, hit the inside barrier, and around he went. That's frustrating, but completely his own doing.
Yeah, and I checked the accident that happened earlier on in the race, the one where there was an accident in front. And judging from the replay, I think he just got confused with the braking markers because he braked so late. And there should be yellows, right? So I think, you know, 2 mistakes for him in this race. He's still in the points. The race is far from over, but he needs to put his head down and focus because he's not being as consistent as it could be. And he's had the most practice, I think, or one of the most practice. So he really needs to focus on the mental side of things, I think. Clayton doesn't make mistakes. If you beat him, you gotta be faster than him, you know? And that's how it goes, you know?
Yeah, for sure in racing. You know, if you turn the steering wheel, push the pedals a little bit better than everyone else, chances are you are going to do quite well, funnily enough. But no, I completely get what you're saying. I'm not ripping into you, I promise. I know I've done it to a number of people, but I'm not ripping into you. You're too nice. But yeah, no, essentially, you just have to be better. And be consistent as well. Oftentimes, actually, I'll actually go back on what I've just said and made a joke out of you for. Sometimes the fastest driver doesn't win the race because of the fact that maybe they've been running a couple of tenths a lap slower, or over the course of the race have lost a few seconds in terms of raw pace, but their consistency, the way they've postured themselves throughout the entire thing, has allowed them to actually stay so far in front that it's just been better off for them to take such a dominant victory. Because you could be Lewis Hamilton, but if you've got Nicholas Latifi's consistency, you're not going to be winning 7 world titles. You need to be Lewis Hamilton's speed with Lewis Hamilton's consistency, and not be going on that roller coaster of first, then DNF, then first, then DNF, then, you know, whatever. It is going to be a whole consistency that wins championships, of course. Speaking of fight to the race win and things like that, though, of course, the gap at the front, Alexander Gray and Ryan Skywalker, very, very close on track. 1.5 seconds separates the Team Trap Titans, Ferraris, Talbots, of Gray and Skywalker. Yeah, Michael, don't even chime in, mate. You are a baby. You have only just popped out of your mother, so you cannot say anything.
Yeah, of course.
Anyway, 1 second between the two of them.
Older.
Yeah, whole 1 year, mate. Anyway, 1 second between the two of them. This could heat up. However, they are teammates, Michael. Are they gonna give each other any leg room? Are they gonna be nice, or are they just gonna go for it?
Ryan will send it. As I know him, he is an aggressive racer. I think he's just going to send it. It's what he does half of the time. Maybe he will do it to his teammates as well. Wouldn't be surprised. That's for certain. But if the transfer is complete, I have an echo now. That's great. But otherwise, that's Ryan taking a little bit of a drift and overtaking Alexander Gray down the inside of Cox. No.
Club.
Thank you.
Yeah. No
Down to Abbey and Farm Straight. Ryan Skywalker is really leading the race.
Who would have thought that? 30 laps ago, I would not have said Ryan Skywalker would be leading the race at all, because of how. I don't want to be too mean. I mean, I've been mean enough already. I want to keep my job. But it wasn't great, the opening few laps for Ryan Skywalker. And unfortunately, that is just how the cookie crumbles sometimes. However, he has poised himself so well. You can only give him acclamations, really, for how well he has done to since then scrub off any mistakes and just press on with pace and consistency for Ryan Skywalker. He's been so smooth, so consistent, and just so quick that he's been able to deserve himself a place back in the lead of the race. Started from second place on the grid, of course, only a few tenths back on the pole sitter of Pedro Lopez. Yeah, Ryan Skywalker is doing fantastic. Still just under half of this race left to go, lap 39 of 70. And there's Dutch Gamer 2004, unfortunately having yet another issue. It's not been his day, to honestly, just to say the least. He's not had the most fun of times, but respectfully so, he is pushing on. Is Dutch Gamer. He's pressing on. He's doing everything. You know, he's getting to the end. He's doing everything regardless of what's happened. And you know, he might be in P12, he might be 3 laps down, but he's still out on track and he's still enjoying himself, which I think is an important factor for sim racing. Is that no matter what, if you're having fun, then fair play to you. But I mean, it's unfortunate for him to have to suffer with that, and that car does not look to be in the best of conditions. What is the damage set on Obi-Wan? Again, I'm not overly familiar. Is there any? Because no, I was gonna say
no.
I didn't think.
Well, I have to say I did make a system where if you crash above 40 kilometers per hour, it adds restrictor, which simulates engine damage. But for some reason, it's not been working. But you know, it happens, I guess.
Damage to 50 at least. Get them.
Yeah.
Let's not be a bunch of pussies and race.
Yeah. It's not working, sadly, but...
Beautiful sound of the Ferrari.
Yeah.
Well, going from the Ferrari...
Sorry?
Back to the Talbots, because Alexander Gray has found base on Ryan Skywalker.
Could be a good fight materializing then, potentially,
Yeah.
between the Swede and the South African. Very polar opposite countries. It really, it must be said, South Africa right at the bottom of the African continent, then Sweden all the way at the top near the the tips of Europe, actually, Sweden and Scandinavia. So very, very warm and then very, very cold. But two teammates joined together, of course, by their passion of sim racing. And Alexander Gray, well, he's very sideways. It's as if he is driving on a Swedish road out there, which I don't blame him for, because, again, those cars have no grip whatsoever. But he's pressing on. He's doing his best job possible, and it could well be... Oh, my word!
Right.
Ryan Skywalker in the wall. It could well be that fact. And Alexander Gray has not had to do any effort in his bid to reclaim P1 in this Grand Prix, because Ryan Skywalker has done the hard work for him, and that was putting himself in a wall.
It's interesting if you ask me. Yeah, consistently crashing into the walls. That's what Dutch Gamer 2004 is doing. Yeah, I think he will quit in a matter of moments. Might be. He doesn't look like he wants to continue. Look at him just standing there, menacingly. But still, 40 laps in, going back to these two.
What happened to Costa?
Costa.
Shouldn't he be 4th? He dropped to 7th.
I think he's just doing the Portugal's both teams some respect by not finishing anywhere near the top 3.
I mean, Pedro Lopez is in the top 3.
Do you know who I am?
wait, are you Portuguese? Yeah. Oh fuck, did I just lose my job?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Michael,
no,
right,
I'm so sorry.
Honestly, if we didn't need Michael for the cameras right now, he'd have been gone. Honestly, I think Ronaldo is fantastic. I love Portugal as a country; it's fantastic. Lisbon is a beautiful country. City.
Lisbon is a country.
Lisbon is a beautiful city. I passed geography, I promise. But yeah, anyway, I mean, you got Pedro Lopez up there in 3rd place anyway, so I don't know what you're chatting, Michael, because he's doing well. But again, a long way off the top 2, which is surprising for a pole sitter, because he was up there originally anyway, with these guys. But yeah, Costa is a big surprise, because he was leading the race going into the pit stop sequence originally. I know we are very late to the party to be talking about this, but yeah, an interesting thing of note. However, Alexander Gray and Ryan Skywalker still going at it, and as soon as one teammate leads the way, they almost get cursed. I don't want to say cursed again. They just, I don't know what happens. They just don't drive as well as they potentially should have. As soon as Ryan Skywalker or Alexander Gray lead the way, one of them starts making mistakes, and Ryan Skywalker is now able to take the lead back off the Swede. Bit of a fight going on now between Anton Zetel and Costa, running side by side potentially on this run in towards Stowe down the hanger straight. It's firmly in the slipstream is Costa, pulling out late to the right hand side under brakes for Stowe. He is a little bit far back, but he's going to have to be brave on the brakes, and that is going to be the case. But Azatel is braver, bolder, and all the way around the outside, both of them chopping and churning at the steering wheel, trying to make the most of the very limited grip that they've got on those four very, very skinny tyres. And this fight will continue all the way through out of Stowe in towards Club Corner, side by side once more. The number 9 machine, the black Ferrari on the inside, trying to get the move done. However, Azazel is not letting this one stick by any stretch of the imagination. Gets the drive off the corner, uphill now on this run in towards Abbey Bend. The very fast left-hander, and it is going to go the way of the Portuguese driver of Costa. Azazel has to settle for 7th. And again, what good racing. I mean, it's been very few and far between has side-by-side battles in this race. It's been very orientated on not making a mistake. But the racing that we have seen has been nothing short of brilliant.
It's definitely true. I'm so sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I'm the rookie commentator. You just go.
I'm used to roasting football teams, so get used to it.
Oh no.
Zach,
no.
England
I
is
love
not
that
safe.
Mate, honestly, I couldn't care less about football. In all honesty,
so I'm good.
So you know, it's more a case of if we're doing well and it's an important game, then I'll watch it and I'll care. I.e., when we drew with the Americans, I went on a tea strike for 3 days because I wasn't having that. But also other than that, it's just sheer patriotism. I don't really care about football. I know I'm going to annoy a couple of people by saying that, but it's just meh. It's a sport. It does well. I can kind of see why
Hockey
people
is
like
better.
it. Hockey. Where are you from, Michael? I can't pick your accent from where you are.
Czech Republic.
Czech Republic. Oh, that makes sense. The little accent on your last name there. Of course, yeah, that makes sense. I do apologize. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Cool, awesome.
But
Czech
Marzo.
Republic.
Struggling a little bit. Seems like it. Dutch gamer just retired to the pit lane. He's done.
Well, you
We
beat
go again.
Simon.
Claymore and Marzo trying to race against each other. Closest battle on track right now. And Marzo go up and pick up his 4th place again, putting it down the outside into Woodcote. Still a little bit too far away, trying to switch back. Still a little bit too far. I think if he would be like in a almost like 1900s, then maybe he could just dive it down the inside.
You've got to be able to send it, and sending it on the throttle is what Marzo is doing very, very well, really. Is the Dutchman really trying his best, well, he's closing the gap, I guess, versus Clayton Davis. Very big send if he goes for that one. Whoa, forget a couple of hundredths of a second. He'd done that from a good second back and had a look. Fair play, of course. But yeah, well, he's really hammering the pressure on now, very, very close to the rear end of Claymore 17 in that Ferrari. Defensive down the hanger straight, moving it back to the middle of the circuit, trying to still hold firm in that defensive position though. Ducking and diving as Marzo. He's always going to be very bold, very committed on the brakes, and might actually have a good look in Stowe. Very twitchy on the brakes, as if the rear car is just saying absolutely not. But he's managed to make that one stick, licked it, stuck it, and sent it, did Marzo. However, the up and under for the fellow Ferrari, the number 2 machine of Clayton Davis, is having a bit of a look to the right-hand side as they run their way through downhill in towards Club Corner. It is going to go the way of the number 12 machine of Marzo. Wow, and now what we've got here is a three-way fight between Marzo, Clayton Davis, and Costa, all of them in contention for 4th, Obi-Wan.
Yeah, this is interesting, and they, different cars as well. The 125 is really good on power, but the 375 has really good brakes. I mean, it could. Apparently, they are just gonna drive away. I'm not sure. Oh no, he's making a mistake on the grass.
Trying to be a lawnmower, you shouldn't do Valtteri Bottas in 2020. That's not what you need to do here at Silverstone. try not to replicate Valtteri Bottas at the starting round of 2020, cutting some grass. I didn't know Ferrari made lawnmowers as well. But Costa making the most of this fight and thinking, I think Marzo is taking a look on Claymore trying to get back. That's a large. I think there maybe was a touch. Doesn't seem like it with Claymore and Marzo. But Marzo got so much better of Claymore. That might actually be tires given away a little bit.
Tires should last comfortably, but you know, these these cars are easy to unbalance, and sometimes when they go, they don't come back. If, especially on, you know, the fuel tank is behind the rear wheel, so it's like a 911 with a 320 liter engine. It can be tricky sometimes.
What was the first thing I think of 9/11 was us getting cancelled because we are mentioning an event that we shouldn't. I think
Oh, no.
something is not right with me.
I mean, it's the 1950s, it hasn't happened yet, so I
It's
don't
fine.
understand
Let's
what you're talking
continue.
about.
Yeah. Claymore trying to send it down the outside of Woodcote to Marzo. And that's a backmarker there. Marzo being in front, that's actually a pretty good overtake for a backmarker to just send it down. That was on Enzo. I think Marzo a little bit ran away. And I said he has spot? It's Marzo in the hay bales. I have an interesting
didn't see.
question. Obi-Wan, do you think that we will have someone in the sea at Monaco?
I've done a lot of crashing in Monaco, and I've never fallen in the sea. But you know, I never underestimate the willpower of some people. It could happen. It happened in real life, so why? If it happens in the same, it's only realistic.
I don't think you can. I think there's an invisible wall, if I'm right. So.
Yes. Well, could be a glitch or something, you know. But yeah, it's not likely.
We have some bad talk about Claymore by Jeremy. I heard that Claymore dude will wreck you and not serve a penalty. Absolutely reckless. Do you think
Or
reckless like he doesn't crash a lot, or reckless like he does a lot of things he shouldn't? A little teenager that is not behaving.
oh, Jeremy. Yeah. Well, I think. Well, early history of this league is that there was a bit of a rivalry between Clayton and John, and they had an accident. At the time, there was no waiting rule if you cause an accident, so Clayton didn't wait, and they already didn't like each other. So yeah, that's a bit of he uh, early early lore.
Jokes on
Yeah.
say. Yeah, too late, mate.
No, I'm saying I don't care. It's happens. It's racing. There's gonna be I
Jeremy
don't
just
care.
typed that in chat. It's a joke, don't say it. Yeah, too late, mate.
Too
But
late. Yeah.
Pedro
Don't say the joke
overtaking
if you don't want me to
Alexander.
talk about.
Overtaking Alexander. Great. Pedro Lopez somehow found pace in his car and is trying to go for the lead.
Oof, I mean, what's the
And he's
gap now?
going
It
into the pits.
is. Oh yeah, straight into the pits. Naturally so. Get us all.
Yeah.
That is always the thing when it comes to recovery drives. It's, oh my god, he's in a really good position. No, he's into the pit lane. It's always an anticlimax. It sucks so much when they do that, because our job as commentators really is to hype things up, and when we do that, and we're like, oh my god, he's gonna go back for the win. What could happen? Stay on the edge of your seats, ladies and gents. Get yourself some popcorn. Really enjoy this one. And then we look like absolute tarts when they immediately come into the pit lane. However, coming in early, could get himself some clear air, get himself a new fuel tank filled up and everything like that. Could go in to what will be the final stint feeling fresh and may be able to close that 18-second gap. I don't know the plan in terms of Ryan Skywalker and Alexander Gray's plan in terms of their pit strategy. Two different cars, of course, between the Talbot and the Ferrari. However, Pedro Lopez could be one to look out for in what has been a very topsy-turvy race. Different people have been at different paces at different points in this race, which has really spiced things up. A lot of mistakes, a lot of differences in pace, as I said. And again, it's keeping you on the edge of your seats because a 16-second gap, granted, yes, it does feel and look quite big. And under normal circumstances, it would be. But all it takes is one spin, one massive mistake, which isn't too far out of the question to really close those gaps back up. So for a lot of these cars, and guys, it is a case of just staying at it because you never know what is going to happen, Michael.
That's definitely true. In these cars as well, with again, we are saying again, with not so much downforce, then yeah, everything can happen. You can just lose the rear one time, and that's a loss of position. That's loss of speed. Yeah, it's saying it again as well. It's like go-karts. You have to keep your speed up. If you don't, you are done. It's the same with the Miata's MX-5 Cup. If you don't continue with the speed that you have, you are going to slow down and you are losing precious seconds, tenths, just everything that will make you lose.
For sure, it's momentum based. Because again, these cars, I mean, I definitely get it with like the MX-5s and things, and again in some regards to these cars because you haven't got a heavy reliance on like you do in modern day single seaters. Of so much downforce that it doesn't matter if you go into a corner slightly deep or slightly slow, you still have the ability to bounce back from it afterwards because the aero does carry you through. Costa very committed into the pit lane, fair play. But yeah, very right in saying that with slightly slower cars or slightly less aerodynamically capable cars like these ones, you do rely a lot on just going corner by corner and using the momentum from each to really carry the swing through. And as soon as you disrupt that rhythm of making a mistake through one corner or anything like that, it does have a knock-on effect, probably really for maybe the rest of the lap in some cases, because one corner leads into another. And as you say, it can be hard to get back into that rhythm. I'd say less so in these cars because they've got the power to compensate for it. So if you have a bit of a poor exit, you can just slam the throttle down and try and still get a decent-ish exit, as opposed to the MX-5s, where if you get a poor exit, you're having to wait for the momentum to get back up. But yeah, with these cars, I mean, they could be turbocharged, which would suck for them if they did have a poor exit or anything like that, having to wait for the turbo to spool up and get back into things. But fortunately, that isn't quite the case for these cars. The only form of forced induction that we have got is on the Alfa Romeo in the form of a supercharger, which works in a similar way to the turbocharger, in the sense that it does try to form pressurized air from the exhaust gases and put it back into the combustion chamber to then power the car with more air, because more air equals more fuel equals more bang, which means more power. Funnily enough. In the world of combustion engines. So yeah, that's forced induction for you, ladies and gents. But yeah, it's been a car that has proven itself to be very, very difficult, and I'm sure will be difficult for the remainder of the season. Talking less about the cars and more about the drivers and the action on circuit. Clayton Davis and Anton Azatel very, very close once more on track, separated by just over a second. This is the fight for the podium, a provisional fight for the podium. Of course, pit lane sequences still yet to filter themselves out fully. But again, these two very, very close, and you would expect a battle to start materializing at some point, everyone.
Yeah, they seeing the lap times, it seems like Anton is picked up the pace, so he might get him back. I think Pedro Lopez wants that podium. He pitted. These two haven't. I think they have a pit stop to do, but it's still for the points for sure. So it's going to be an important battle for the championship and for the race, of course. Um, they, I'm trying to think. Like, I think the 125 is, if it caught up right at the end of that stint, it might do the same here. So I think it might fight for second by the end of the stint, Pedro Lopes. I think it would be an interesting thing to see. He's pitting now, the Talbot, so let's see where he comes out.
We go Alexander Gray into the pits, Mark into the pits as well, the Alfa Romeo. I think Ryan may have a chance to just go to the end with a one pit. What do you think, Zach?
I mean, you're asking the wrong person here, mate. I am not clever enough to calculate all this stuff.
It could be. Come on, do it.
It's possible, but not at the pace that he's been driving. He's been driving so quickly. I think it wouldn't. It's not realistic to do this sort of pace and only one stop. You'd have to fuel save a lot.
Just figure out a pit stop takes less
About a minute, is it?
than a
Yeah.
minute.
So
64 seconds for the fuel alone. So
plus the time to actually drive through the pit lane. So you're probably looking at about 70 seconds, maybe even
Yeah.
actually a bit more, about 75 seconds maybe, going through the pit lane. Are you going to lose that 75 seconds by fuel saving? Are you going to be able to fuel save enough to be able to go for a one stop? That's probably something he should have committed to very, very early, as opposed to right now. And he comes into the pit lane. He's straight in. So I don't think it was realistic. He was driving way too hard for for the strategy that you were potentially proposing. So I guess there goes that ship has sailed. That ship has sailed. I'm trying to say that sometimes fast. But Ryan Skywalker, yeah, into the pit lane from the lead of the race. Where is he going to come out? How are the final 20 laps of this race going to pan out? Still a long way to go, of course. We're a long way in and still yet a fair way to go. So a good, they're running about just under 2 minutes lap. So we're still got about 35 minutes left of racing action to go. And, well, if they can get a little bit closer, give us some more action, I'm not going to be complaining that we've got that long.
My question is, how is Ryan gaining time when he is just now out of the pits? He was gaining time on Alexander Gray while in the pit lane. Notice that when he went into the pit lane, Alexander Gray was 118, and now Alex is 121. Isn't that weird?
I mean,
Now it changed. Here we go. That's what I like to see. Timing board actually working.
Honestly, it's not as bad as ACC. In terms, again, I love ACC as a sim. It's awesome. The races are immaculate. But as a spectator, from a spectating perspective, it's so awkward because you know how we've got right now on the left hand side, we've got our timing tower updating, but basically every couple of seconds. The ACC, it's every sector that it resets. So someone could make a move, someone could have a massive off, but you wouldn't know until they'd crossed the next sector line,
You know what's
which
funny?
just makes it very, very awkward. Go on.
If you notice, do you think that leaderboard looks kind of similar to the game that you've been talking about?
It does, but literally, then it is the same leaderboard.
It is.
Yeah.
It is a mod. These mods are very well done. I think Assetto Corsa is one of the best games for streaming. That's for sure. Don't know about R Fighter, but don't want to try that with R Fighter being uh, been bought by Motorsport Games, so don't want to dip my toes into that scandal. But Costa, the Portuguese driver, trying to get into top 5, trying to use his little bit older tires and not that much fuel in the car to overtake Anton. He definitely has the pace to do it, and definitely has, I would say, the weight distribution to do it. He's definitely faster in the starts. Right now, we can see I forgot the car in front of him is. Why don't. Oh, the Ferraris, I forgot. These are two different Ferraris. The Ferrari 175. Pedro Lopez! His engine! Dead! It's just blew up. That's
Uh,
our contender for third place. Gone. His engine is dead. It's committed suicide.
oh, okay. That is a big development in this race. That is huge news, of course, and one that can very easily happen. Talking about reliability, of course, for these 1950 Formula One cars, not great for him at all. And that
Oh,
is
Anton!
a different type of failure. That is Anton Zertel having another off through Abbey in towards the runoff area, of course, into the banking where the track map actually ends and you just hit an invisible barrier. That has promoted Costa back up into 4th place, but unfortunately for Pedro Lopez, our pole sitter by 4/10, let's not forget, in qualifying, is now out of this race with severe engine damage and unfortunately has blown and unfortunately has seen an end to his British Grand Prix affair in the 1950 rerunning here for Revival Racing League. Talking of Revival Racing League, we've had the big man at the top of it, Obi-Wan, in the commentary booth with us for the majority of this race. He come and give us some analysis and decided to just tag along and wanted to stay with us, but unfortunately he has got to run off and do other things. So what we will do is we're going to say a big goodbye to Obi-Wan and hopefully we'll see him alongside us for a few minutes in the future rounds over the course of this season. Obi-Wan, it's been a good race, I think, so far. Of course, we still have a couple more left to go. I'll just give you a word before you head off. 17 laps left to go. It's been a good way, I think, to kick off the season and to kickstart the year as well.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure being here with you guys. I hope I didn't talk too much or anything. It was seeing you in action in the box with you guys. It's all I could ask for. Seeing the first official championship race, and it's not over yet. There's still 20 laps to go. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
Of course. Well, thank you very much for being in here, and we will catch up with him, I'm sure, over the season, and of course, just in general as the races and things progress. But now you have got the lovely company of myself, Zach Sweeney, and Michael Sifalda in the commentary booth for the remainder of the race. And wow, Jeremy, you've been a bit harsh there. He talked fine. He was awesome. He was lovely company. Well, he's been a bit harsh. Anyway, that's besides the point. We'll focus on the racing action. We're focusing right now with Ryan Skywalker, 21 seconds clear, or is that 20? That's 23 seconds clear of Alexander Gray, who are two teammates leading the way, 1 and 2, to kickstart the season. They couldn't have asked for really much more, Michael.
Definitely couldn't. Both of the Goldies being first and second, I think if there's any big mistake from Alexander Gray, he might keep the second position, but it's 16 laps to go, as we see. Getting to grass a little bit there. That's, I think that's fine. A lot of people have done as well. Claymore having a lead of 5 seconds, and that's the closest gap on the race. 6 seconds.
Ooh.
Wild.
I mean, he's fast. Let's say that much, and been able to bridge that gap as best as possible. But yeah, I think we've had an array of talent over the course of this race. I mean, we've got a big grid full of it. You know, Ryan Skywalker, Alexander Gray, pretty much the whole grid. Pretty much. I mean, at different points in this race, we've had different 4 people. I think 4 different people who have seemed relatively in contention potentially for a win. I mean, we've had Ryan Skywalker, Alexander Gray, Costa, and Pedro Lopez all at some point look like they could lead the way and take grasp of potential dominance. Maybe. Again, that dynamic could still unfold with still 15 laps left to go, around about half an hour of racing action. But still, what will come about again is an uncertainty that motorsport has made a name for itself with. There's so many variables, so many different things that can go wrong, that can go haywire, that can change at a moment's notice. And well, really, officially, it all started right here. 73 years ago at Silverstone, the 1950 running of the Silverstone Grand Prix at this very track in these very cars kickstarted a phenomenal journey of a fantastic sport.
That's definitely true. Even the Queen of England was there, and that's amazing. Watching the sport from an early perspective, I can say that's for sure. Just starting in awe and watching every dominance there could be. It's very cool.
And not over. Not over. Over, I think, well, the 1000th race in China was back in 2019. We've since had the 2020 season, the 2021, and the 2022 season. So I think we're going on for a good about 1,080 races there or thereabouts in Formula One. So many champions, so many race winners, pole sitters, fastest laps, teams, drivers, nationalities. We've had it all in Formula One. And again, it's good to reflect as much as it's awesome to look forward into the future and be excited for the prospects. It's sometimes easy to forget the roots, to forget where you've come from, and to see how long you've come in your journey. And Formula One is a prime staple of that in the sense that as a technological basis, Formula One has pioneered a lot of technology, even to the sense that NASA and things like that and road manufacturers have used the technology learned and refined out on track in Formula One to better society. So not only Formula One is a spectacle to watch, it has also in some senses bettered the world that we live in today with more efficient fuels, more efficient engines, hybrid power units, electrical power units, the whole the aerodynamics, the floor effects, the efficiency of just making a car refined to go as quickly as possible at the hands of the best in the world. Formula One has been at the forefront of technological advances, and you've seen it. You look at these cars and then you look at the modern world and you think that has only been 73 years of innovation, and how quickly that has come about. Each decade really has had a big stepping stone in advancements. Should be between the 1950s and the 1960s, where in the 60s rear wings and aerodynamics were first starting to be introduced, then into the 70s where you had turbochargers and things like that starting to be introduced, really making a firm effect in the whole aerodynamic compartment and understanding why it works, not just that it works, but why and how it works. Also very, very important as a whole. And again, it's just so amazing to see how we've gone from hay bales lining the side of random airfields in tin cans that have massive engines in the rear end of them to absolute monsters of the absolute pinnacle of engineering, from thousands of people sat in a room designing, refining, and creating these amazing machines. And it is just fantastic to know what a team of people are able to do. That's the whole stop story over and done with, I suppose, because Formula One is a fantastic sport, one that a lot of people can resonate with and enjoy, and has created so much fun, so much action, and so many memories, and so many more to come. And I guess that is the importance of the Revival Racing League. As I have said, back to the racing action though, because in the meantime, while I've been rambling on, then the engines are in front, announcers. They're well, shush. They're not. I shush. That's why they've got such long noses.
They're in the front. I wanted to correct you, but I corrected you one time at the start of the race.
I've been chopping and changing between the 1950s and the 2000s, and then the 2000s they're behind you. So now you've got them in the front, which is fair enough, because inline sixes, there's Costa with the dive though. We'll come back to that in just a second. Now up onto the podium places from a dive a long way back in towards Stowe corner, still fighting with Clayton Davis as they exit the corner. However, I think he has been able to get himself a nose ahead on the run out now towards Club Corner. Is it going to go the way of Costa, or is it going to go the way of Claymore? Back now to the outside as the number 5 machine on the left-hand side of shot, and the right-hand side of shot, the left-hand side of the circuit, still emerging side by side on the exit of Club. A bit of a sideways moment from the number 5 of Costa, And Claymore trying to hang on in the balance, not quite able to. Back trying to get the up and under is the Portuguese driver through Abbey Bend. It will once again be the outside line if he can keep it there. On the run through into Woodcote at the final corner to round off lap 57. Costa, outside line versus Claymore. These guys are not giving an inch at all. So close to contact as they go through. But it is going to be Claymore that just hangs on. Still fighting though. Costa left-hand side down the pitch straight towards Copse Corner. Another very fast, very long corner. And Claymore stuck there on the inside of the circuit. Is Costa going to go the long way around? The answer to that is no. And wow, what a battle. What a race. What a fight for the podium that we've seen unveil here.
It's really great racing. We see Costa still trying to dive the inside of Claymore. Actually diving in the inside and having so much more speed. Coming into Beckett's being in front by 6 tenths. That's amazing. Still, this is the thing we love to see. That Anton who crashed somehow. We don't know how, we don't remember. We haven't saw it. Ryan who's just running away with it. But definitely someone who is not running away with it is Costa, with Claymore still trying to get the third place. He wants that podium, he wants those points.
He does. And a podium as well is a good, again, milestone, like I was saying a little bit earlier on. It's a good way to start a season. It's a good achievement to get the top 3. It's always been a prestigious achievement in the world of motorsport to get yourself onto that podium at the end of the race. And while Jeremy has just been on a madness today. Someone has put 50p in him today, and he is just ripping into everyone left, right, and centre, and really wanting to make sure that he knows that he's got the upper hand. He's on his high horse today, is Jeremy. But yeah, well, back to this fight. I think Costa has now got the track position and is fast enough to stay in front in this fight for third, which is a shame because the respect that those two are giving each other is second to none. You know, we often give the credit to the attackee in moves and battles and things like that and say, oh my word, that was a spectacular move. But it does take 2 to tango, and you know, it's still it's still, you still have to give respect to the other driver for being respectful enough to not just completely run the other guy off the road. So between both of them, great mutual respect and just a fantastic battle overall. I think they can both be proud of that one.
Definitely can. Even the defenders should get some respect in these races because it's absolutely amazing for what these people can do. The best example I can think of is Abu Dhabi 2021. Checo Perez, the Mexican Ministry of Defense, and Anton showing us how to drift these cars. God damn, that's how we do it.
That is. I mean, if he's got his missus or mister or whoever on the side of the circuit, they are going to be very, very impressed with the display that we've got going on right now, and very, very happy with how he's getting on in terms of looking cool. Not particularly the quickest way around the circuit, but definitely one of the coolest. And that's the only natural thing to do. There you can see that is Marzo, I think, having a bit of a slide going through Chapel Curve. But yeah, naturally, that's the only thing you want to do in cars like these, is to just send it in sideways, because it is just so much fun to do and have a bit of fun with it. Anyway, unfortunately, Anton Azatel has fallen back behind Marzo, maybe taking a pit stop, potentially. He's lost 45 seconds. No, he hasn't. He's lost in a good time to Costa and Claymore, which has been who he's fighting with a little bit earlier on, actually, but now closing in the gap back to the Dutchman of Marzo in the fight for 5th. So not too long ago, we saw a fight for 3rd. Now we're going to see one maybe for 5th place. But time is not on these guys' side. Only just under 11 laps of this race left. They've not to make these moves done. It really is now the fight to the sprint to the finish.
We're in the final laps of this race. It's a long time that this is. It's in the 16 minutes here. It will be midnight. Let's go. 11 laps to go. So, closest battle on track is Anton chasing Marto, and both of these guys showing us how to drift, but Marto is not the one to know how to drift right. Seems like Anton had a really good drift, taken inside outside, but Marto just spun it. And that's the best way to say it. That's an anticlimactic battle.
Fair enough.
That's a shame.
We've been teased too many times today, with good fights that could have happened but didn't. But hey ho, that's how the cookie crumbles. We've still had a fair share of action spread out over the course of the last 60 laps. Still 10 to go, of course. But yeah, very much looking to the checkered flag for a lot of these cars, particularly for Ryan Skywalker, who's going to want to take that step up to the top and step up to that from second place on the grid. Of course, was on the front row alongside Ryan himself, Alexander Gray, and Pedro Lopez, who we unfortunately lost from this race a few laps ago. And getting word actually from Blip, doing these cars sideways is objectively faster, at least in tight corners. They will understeer, and you need to kick out the rear right before the apex and keep it there for a while. Exactly what we were talking about. In some cases, yes, naturally the rule of racing is that drifting is slow. However, literally on Tuesday I had to write a college report about slip angle, and I used sim racing as an example. If the rear end of the car has the most grip basically as soon as it's about to lose it, and through tighter corners with cars that don't have many don't have much turning circles or much aerodynamic capabilities, using the rear end of the car to turn is such an important skill, because it brings the car around so well, especially in long wheelbase cars like these ones, particularly the Turbo and the Alfa Romeo, considering they are they've got inline sixes and inline eights respectfully, so they've got to be long. But yeah, it's an impressive skill. It's one you have to master because it can so very easily go wrong. So yeah, thank you for Blip for chiming in on that one, because it is a very, very good point to make. But yeah, you do have to do that. Use the power to counteract the understeer. It's something you have to do really in karting as well. I mean, you made a number of analogies to karting as well, Michael. Particularly under braking, you have to do that with karts. It's the sense that you use the brakes to turn the rear end of the car and bring it back round to point where you want to. Because again, in karts, you're not actually turning the steering wheel that much. You're just utilizing the momentum that you've got to actually turn the vehicle, which is so difficult. And that's why the top flight of motorsports and things like that are so refined to the very few that can do it well.
Yeah. Basically, best thing everyone can do now is power slide, front wheels, and also drift a little bit into these corners. As you can see, Ryan is just taking it how he wants. He doesn't care. But here we go. It's 10 laps to go. It will be 9 as soon as Ryan crosses the line. Here we go. 9 laps to go.
Only 9. And this is now where the pressure starts to pile on for Ryan Skywalker, because he is going to want to bring it home. And all it takes is one mistake to throw away all of that hard work that he's managed to put in to recover in this race. Not long left to go, but he is definitely going to be starting to feeling tired in this one. He's had that pressure of leading the race and the car for so long that he's going to be so relieved if he does indeed see the checkered flag first.
I think this just has to be really hard for the drivers, for everyone. But I know some people may have fallen asleep in the chat. Not much racing going on right now, coming into the closing stages of the race. Still really well done with all the drivers. I wouldn't have done it in VR. I think I would be sick. Just in the middle of the race, have a bucket for that. How that would be. How would you do it? It doesn't seem like Marzo is doing real well, but
I honestly, to get through this race, just give me a comfy chair, my comfy new simulator that I've just treated myself to. Sit in that, get myself snuggled in, sorted out, get myself a couple of drinks, couple of picky snacks that I can have along the way, and just try and power on through it. Maybe have someone in a voice chat with you that you can chat with and keep yourself occupied. Turn your force feedback down naturally as well. And just try and relax. As Alex Hellier says, it is all about being relaxed and focused at the same time, because you don't want to be too relaxed and too complacent to the extent that you start to lose track of what's actually really happening. Because as soon as you get complacent, as soon as you become relaxed, you don't go as quick, and you can often actually make yourself more mistakes if you are relaxed. But also, you don't want to be too strictly focused and worrying about what's going on, in the sense that you'll start to doubt yourself and lose confidence. And when you focus too much on something, you almost have tunnel vision, and then that again is where mistakes will start to make. It's where you loosen up your shoulders, where you feel relaxed, where you feel confident in your lap, in your stride, that you then extract the most potential pace possible from your car. So yeah, just be chill, basically. And it is great, and again separates the good from the great drivers, those that can master that skill and master that mentality, because the mental side of things not talked about enough in the world of sim racing, and it should be. But yeah, it's just one of those things that you just got to put up and deal with. Those that, they're here for a reason, they've signed up to do it. So if they're not happy with how tired they are afterwards, then they probably shouldn't have put their name down to do the season.
That's for sure, as Alex is saying, Ray is getting closer lap after lap, and it might be a group finish for Track Titan. So, yeah, these two are putting an amazing race on. So, I want to say being close, they were like 22 seconds apart at one time. I finished in the middle of the race. Now 50 seconds is the biggest gap. No, I'm kidding. It's 1 minute and 18 seconds. That's the biggest gap now. Alex taking a trip to the grass. So, yeah, I think both of them are in the zone and they know what they're doing. They have the pace to finish this. I think
they do very, very well.
That means 3 DNFs. Simon, Dodgy Gamer, and Lopez.
Yeah, unfortunately we have lost 3, and 2 are a lap down. But yeah, Alex Gray has been a driver that's been very, very quick over this race. He's been quick, but at different points, and we have seen a number of those small mistakes start to add up and hurt him. And now the gap has grown to his teammate to over 10 seconds now, about 10.4 seconds as he runs his way through Beckett's. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be the fact that maybe he might not be able to actually catch his teammate of Ryan Skywalker by the end of this race, because 10 seconds in 6 laps is a long gap, a big gap to close. But looking on about 2 seconds a lap. That is, of course, provided that he can straight away get past Ryan Skywalker. So Alexander Gray, it might not go his way in terms of a race win today, but he should still be very, very pleased if he can consolidate a second place, because if you're not going to win, you might as well be second best and get the most out of your day. And that is exactly what Gray has done. He's put on a fantastic show, given us some fantastic action. But for the Talbots in general to secure a 1-2 on arguably a day where the Ferrari might have been a slightly quicker car, on a day where these guys didn't start from pole position, they managed to come home and still almost, they're close. I'm not going to say they've secured it yet, but they've almost secured a 1-2 finish, and to go home to the metaphorical team base, let's call it, with a 1-2 finish, they're going to be pleased.
I think they have a team base, and maybe they'll celebrate between themselves. This is definitely an achievement. 6 laps to go, as you said. Lap on average is 1 minute 50, and yeah, that basically makes 12 or 11 seconds. So in that time frame, I think Alex can easily catch up to Ryan if he wants to.
Oh, I mean, I think we got two different outlooks on this. It depends how slow Ryan Skywalker is going to be, because for him right now, I think Skywalker is just cruising. I don't think he's pushing by any means. So
Us.
if Gray started to put some oomph in it into his stride, I think he could maybe close the gap. But Skywalker probably has still got some left in the locker in reserve, ready for if/when his teammate does close the gap. I would say it's going to take a mistake or two from Skywalker to close the gap to Gray. Again, maybe if this race was 10 laps longer, definitely we could see a shout. But yeah, it's a strange one. And the Talbot is great here, but the car is going to be very peaky depending on the track. So basically, what he's saying is, this car is either going to be one of the best or one of the worst. So it could either be at the top of its form or at the bottom. Is the impression I'm getting for that. So
I think
it's not going to be maybe the car of choice over the course of the whole season.
it's the same that Obi-Wan taught us. It's that this car is really good in the straights, but the brakes are not really good. So this is a track for the Talbot, but we might see a different result in Monaco, where maybe the Alfa Romeos will somehow come back and win it, or the Ferraris, which are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Basically, there are like 5 Ferraris. So, with Alex, they're gonna trip the grass fields. Fortunately, not crashing. That's. But yeah, then now I think he cannot catch Ryan. Now
Oh yeah, no, that's the nail in the
now
coffin.
it's official.
That is the nail in the coffin. That is basically saying, yeah, no, you had hope, now it's not. Watch him now win the race. That would be our luck. But yeah, the Talbot is heavy. The brakes are not great. Which, when we
Stop
go
yawning.
to these circuits, like, yes, honestly, mate, I'm knackered. I am sorry. I've got a cold. It's
No,
11
it's
o'clock.
fine. Yeah, in pre-mids here it's midnight, so
Yeah,
it's fine.
honestly, mate, you're just lucky it's not school night for you. Anyway,
Yes.
yeah, I'm sure your mum would be very happy. But no, we'll stop joking about Michael's age. I don't know why I'm saying it. I'm only a year older than him, but it's still
You're-
strange. And as soon as
Why
there's one
you
younger than me,
bullying me?
why I bully you? Because everyone does it to me, Michael. So it's my turn to give it out. Okay.
Fine, I'm
But
going
yeah,
to bully the drivers on Tuesday. I'm not going to bully Ryan. I can bully Gray. He's not that good. Or Heller. He's not that good in the race as well. Still better than me.
it's
But
harsh. That's
yeah.
harsh.
I have people to bully, so I don't care. I'm
It's
a
the
commentator. I
pyramid
can
scheme.
bully anyone without consequences. So
Basically, James Parfitt is the top of the pyramid. He's bullying us, keeping us in shape, making sure we're not completely destroying his brand by giving you guys a terrible broadcast, which I think for the most part we have not done. So I hope you have all enjoyed on the JP Broadcasting
Which
YouTube
means-
channel. Do make sure to subscribe, like, share around, get your friends involved, and make sure you stay in touch with everything sim racing here on the YouTube channel, because we cover a vast majority of things: radicals, GTs, classic Formula One cars, modern single seaters as well. At some points, you know, we go to a lot of different disciplines, so there will always be something to tickle your fancy here on the JP Broadcasting channel, and making, staying in touch with the joys of sim racing. We do it because we're passionate. We do it because the guys we work with are passionate, and we do it because the racing is fantastic. So make sure you stick around. We hope you are enjoying. As I said, it's myself, Zach Sweeney, Michael Sifalda alongside me in the commentary booth. We had word with Obi-Wan, the admin for the Revival Racing League, as well, with us a little bit earlier on. But yeah, we do hope. It's not been possible at all without you guys in the YouTube chat cheering us on, giving us stuff to bounce off with, and if in the case of Jeremy, completely ripping us apart as well. But yeah, as Alexander has noted, it's only 2 laps to go. It's all come down to this, and it seems that
3,
it's Ryan
actually.
Skywalker's to lose. Well, 3 at the end of this lap. Left to go. We've got 68, 69, and then 70 to do. Yeah, he's quickly retracted that message. 3 laps to go at the line, onto lap 68 of 70. And as I was saying, it seems to be the way of Ryan Skywalker. It's his race to lose.
You mean to win, right? Right?
Well, yeah, it's his race to lose, in the sense that only he can lose it. Like there's,
Great. I didn't know we
he's
were recreating Star Wars memes, but fine.
no. I mean, to be fair, I have always misunderstood that saying. It's his race to win. And there's also his race to lose. Because right now, this is his race. He owns this race. He's dominated this race.
Yeah,
So
true.
his biggest enemy is himself, in the sense that the only person that's going to beat him is if he makes a mistake and allows Alexander Gray through. But that remains to be seen. It's been a good race. It would have been better if I didn't have a little 15-year-old in my ear correcting everything I said, though. I'll be honest, I'm joking. I've been a bit too harsh there. But no,
Calm
yeah,
down.
it's been awesome. Yeah, I know. I need to get off my high horse. I'm turning into Jeremy. But anyway, yeah, I think it has been a fantastic race, and I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, don't forget James is still watching, so yeah, it's been great. I'm surprised my computer is handling this. That as well. You have Alexander actually doing the bet that he was supposed to do. Check out the Titans. And why is my watch restarting? That's a good thing to know. It's midnight. Let's go. Here at midnight, lap 68, 3 laps to go. Currently, Ryan Skywalker leading the race back to Alexander Gray, to Costa, to Claymore, to Anton. Fifth, that's your top 5. Marzo, Marco, Josh, Bivoop, and NZO. That's your top 10. That's all of your 10 racers that have survived these cars, and that's Matzo not surviving these cars and spinning out. Matzo, you are not putting a really good example. I believed in you. 2 laps to go. Lap 69. Don't know what to think about it. We've been sitting here for over 2 hours.
3 hours actually. We got into the
Oh,
the
God.
voice call before but well 9 o'clock your time.
Yeah.
We've been here for 3 hours, which it's a fairly long time, to be fair. I mean, the longest I've done in a commentary booth is about 7 hours at once, which killed.
What? Oh.
Yeah, I did. I did 30 minutes pre-show of just talking with the guy I was commentating with, sorting things out and everything like that, into a 30-minute qualifying, and then into a 6-hour race plus the ending as well. So about 7 hours all in all.
Oh wait, we have to interview the drivers.
Yeah.
We will be here a little bit longer. So who are we interviewing? The top 5?
I'd say the top 3. I'm gonna go. We're gonna keep it short and sweet. We're gonna take a word with Ryan Skywalker, Alexander Gray, and Costa as well. If we can get a word with all of them, that would be very, very nice indeed. But the priority, of course, is going to be on Ryan Skywalker, who has only got about a lap and a half left to go in his bid to win the first race of the season, the first race of the Revival Racing League. But yeah, it's definitely gone his way. But it is always good, I think, to have interviews at the end of the race to get that insight, to see what it's like, because we can only see so much in the commentary booth, Michael. We can only see a top-down view. We don't know the emotions, the thoughts, the feelings. We can only make assumptions from up here. It's good to get down in depth and get into the nitty-gritty things with the drivers and what they thought of this race. So let's have a work with Ryan Skywalker,
Zach,
and his teammate Alexander Gray would be great. Go on.
you can now how to say it? Forgot the word. Awake your inner Martin Brundle or Ted Kravitz and prepare for the interviews.
Interviews are awesome. I love interviews. They're
Well,
fun.
I am thinking Ryan Skywalker for his last lap in his Talbot in these really good gold liveries. The Team Track Titan. It's shining off, so you can't read it. The number 0 being first. I don't think it could be more poetic.
Yeah, trying to think of a poet. Simon Armitage is a poet that comes to mind.
Claymore.
And what's happened? He's had a bit of a spin through Club Corner, managed to keep it going, of course, and the leader is on to the final lap. Claymore still has 2 to go, but Ryan Skywalker in towards the hanger straight. Just quickly before he gets to the line, for you, Michael, what has this race been like for you? It's been a good one, right?
been a good one. It's been great action for me to put my computer, and the computer actually somehow doing really well. And actually putting it here in to my living room now, and it somehow survived, and I'm very proud of that. This has been a really good race from both perspectives. So yeah, I think I couldn't imagine a better race.
Fair enough. Yeah, I love that. Fantastic. And only one more corner left to go actually for Ryan Skywalker down the farm straight and then into Woodcote for one final time. He's done it 70 times. He's done each and every single one of them with such a prowess, with such a dominance from second place on the grid. One more corner. It's Woodcote. Then the dash to the line for Team Track Titans. Ryan Skywalker in the Talbot-Lago T26C crosses the line, sees the checkered flag first after 70 laps here of the 1950's Silverstone Grand Prix. His teammate Alexander Gray, the Swede, will come home to see the checkered flag in second. Then it's Costa, the Portuguese, in the Ferrari to round off the podium in third. What a way to kickstart 2023. What a way to kickstart the Revival Racing League as well, and to relive the start of it all for the Formula One World Championship. Ryan Skywalker, Alexander Gray, and Costa, well, the Talbots for the same team, of course, of Team Track Titans, out in front in full force, flying the flag high, and what a race it was indeed. Waiting for the apologies, the final couple of drivers to actually make it to the checkered flag. One of the last of which will be Clayton Davis of Claymore 17 to cross the checkered flag. Then, of course, we will have a word with all of the drivers that we can have a word with, preferably the top three if we can, to keep it nice and short and sweet, and then round off for an awesome night of action here, of course, on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. And, of course, we will see you in 2 weeks' time for the Monaco Grand Prix as well, which is one to look forward to, absolutely. Yeah, well, again, as you said, it's been a very, very enthralling race from start to finish. Always had some form of drama along the way. But yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it's been a great bit of action. And some dull points, of course, naturally, as the field starts to spread out. But overall, Ryan Skywalker was not the man I thought was going to win this race.
It seemed like it's at the start, but this is the end. Let's look for our mates who are in the waiting booth already with Obi-Wan somehow.
Well, everyone, I think, has just been chilling in there. Well, we've got Ryan Skywalker in there, so we're going to have a word with him first. Hopefully, not going to intrude any conversation you potentially had with your teammate there. Ryan Skywalker, fantastic race for you. It was overall at face value a really good race. I think from second place on the grid to the win at the end of the 70 laps, a long race. It wasn't always smooth sailing though. It wasn't, particularly at the start, you didn't have the best of runs. You made a couple of spins, made a couple of mistakes, but from then on out, you really did turn into a completely different machine, it seemed, and was just turning in laps, lap after lap, at such blisteringly quick pace. What was the race like down in the cockpit? Because, as I was saying to Michael, we only know so much. We don't know the raw emotion that you're feeling. So, how was it? Was it stressful? Were you quite chilled and relaxed? How did you get on down there?
Well, to be honest, I would describe it in one word, and that would be sweaty. Because it's so hot here in South Africa. I was battling in the beginning. I was stressing that I wouldn't make the race because my power came on late but early, so I could get qualifying in. And I told my teammate, I'm going to struggle in the first half of the race because it takes me a while to get my eye in with these cars. I can't just out of the gate. I'm not fast. I have to like settle into it and then get used to it. And then from there on, I'm consistent. So I had a hard time in the beginning, to get, especially with the other guys, the Portuguese fighting me in the front. That was hard. And I don't know if we touched or what happened there at one point, but I just went straight off the track. And luckily I hit that grass wall thing, so it bounced me back. But yeah, once I got through my second stop, I just kept my head down and focused and protected the car because I heard on the radio everybody else was like people were blowing their engines and damaging their car. So I just like nursed it like a granny to the end.
Fair play, fair play. There's nothing more you can do, is there? You just
Mm,
gotta get it to the end, especially in cars like these. I mean, you were saying how you can't just settle in straight away to the car. How
yeah.
long of a warming up process is that for you? Do you have to do sort of 5-10 laps to really settle in? And how big of a learning curve are these cars? Because they're not your typical single seater. They do seem to want to fight back and wrestle with you when you go around the lap.
Yeah, like I in my other league that I do, we have an hour practice session before qualifying each week. So it I use that hour to get myself ready and on pace and focused and stuff. So today I couldn't do that because the power came on and I literally had to jump into the room. Um, so hopefully that doesn't happen again, and I get some more prep time, and I can be faster from the start.
Fingers
Yeah,
crossed. I mean,
yeah.
yeah, it's
But it was a good race overall. I'm glad my teammate came second. 1-2 for Track Titan. That's a big victory for us.
absolutely. Well done for you. And one final question before we let you go. First race of the season today at Silverstone. A long way to go before we round off on the 8th of April. What are your aspirations for this season? What are you looking forward to most? Are you sparking a championship campaign, or is this winner one off?
No, if you're not first, you're last, mate.
Good mentality. I mean, fair enough, fair play. So that is Ryan Skywalker. Everyone, he's going for it basically for the rest of the season. He's given the massive, well, not very nice words to the rest of the field. He's basically just saying, yeah, I'm going to do my own thing, and he's going to try and win every race that he can. Well, best of luck to you, and we'll see you in 2 weeks in Monaco.
Thanks, guys. Have a nice evening.
And you.
Cheers, cheers.
Ryan Skywalker, of course, there, just spoken into with him. Now we're going to drag in his teammate of Alexander Gray, the Swede, second place in the race. It could have actually maybe materialized for a win potentially for you, Alexander, but overall a good race for you. You surely have to be happy with second, and of course the 1-2 for your team as well.
Yeah, I'm very happy. I'm surprised I'm even up here. This is a long time since I've been up in the podium in any race. I'm happy with my speed and the control of the car. It was fun but hard car.
It seemed it. I mean, you had a couple of moments. Let's put it that way. We caught a lot of them on the stream. We were very supportive of you. We promise. No, we were absolutely ripping into you. But no, I mean, overall, it was a fantastic race for you. You did well. You did what you had to. And I mean, despite the hardships that went your way, despite the small mistakes and things like that, you made the most of the car. And on a raw basis, I would say you were actually quicker than your teammate. But unfortunately just didn't quite pan out for you to close that gap in the end. But I mean, you again, as you say, you can't be too displeased with a second place.
Yeah, I think the biggest like moment I had was in like after first pit. I spun in the start straights, and the car didn't. The car was reversed, so I had to spin around. I didn't want to destroy the tires with just gas and drop the clutch. So that lost me a lot of time though.
Yeah, we saw a couple of drivers have poor starts. We saw it with Pedro Lopez as well. Everyone around him basically just seemed to completely get past him on that run in towards Cops. But speaking of the season as a whole, of course, we kickstarted the year here in Silverstone. Looking forward to the rest of the season. What are your aspirations really? What are you aiming for? Was this podium a nice surprise, or was it a case of we're going to aim for more this season?
I guess I'm gonna try keeping myself in the podium the whole season, and try getting more time to practice and getting better setups, and then just getting more consistent and holding the car on the track and not spin like I did a lot of times, or didn't spin completely, but just keep the moments down.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, speaking of mistakes, we're at Monaco in 2 weeks. How you feeling about that one?
Oh no, is it? It's closed with the walls, right?
We don't talk about it, do we?
Yeah, oh no.
Yeah, that's 2 weeks problem. That you're gonna save that for future you. That's not your problem right now.
Yeah,
You're gonna
it's not the problem right now.
no, absolutely not. Well, best of luck to you, and well, we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Hopefully, we'll see you back in the commentary booth.
Yeah, thanks. See you.
See you soon. the Swede of Alexander Gray. Then just had a quick word with him, second place in that race. We're now going to take a word. You're called Mad Titus on Discord. You're called Costa on Assetto Corsa. You don't really know what name you want to be by, but that's regardless of the point. P3 for you in that race, in what could have been anyone's race, really, especially between yourselves, Ryan Skywalker, Alexander Gray, and of course Pedro Lopez. All four of you seemed poised to do quite a good job in that race. Didn't quite go your way, but talk us through your thoughts and feelings throughout the entirety of that race.
I think it was a very clean race. Congratulations to the winners. I had a problem where I had to. I didn't have damage, but I tried to repair my engine, and I wasn't aware that engine damage time to repair was way up. So I just spent around 4 minutes in the pit for no reason.
Not ideal.
Yeah.
But I mean, you made the mistake, and I guess you can learn from it now for the rest of the season.
Yeah, excuse me.
You've made the mistake now. I mean, you've learned from that, and I guess now you're not going to make a repeat of that. In the next races to come.
Yeah, I hope we can just get in the way and win like it was supposed to be.
Fair play. I mean, I'm guessing that is your aspirations. You do sound quite disappointed with the third place. Still a podium, of course, but I'm guessing that's what you want from this season is to go into a race and take the win.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. I mean, final question before we do let you go then, Costa. I suppose, you got Monaco in 2 weeks' time for round number 2. It's a tricky circuit. I think everyone is in agreement of that, particularly, I guess, in these old cars and the old rendition of the Monaco Grand Prix circuit. Are you looking to go into that race to try and bounce back? Are you, again, I guess, how are you feeling about going around Monaco?
Well, I think it will be cool. It will be hard, of course. These cars are very, very hard to drive because they just slide everywhere, everything you want to do. But it will be very nice if everyone managed to keep clean and have patience. It will be a great race for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us in the commentary booth for a quick interview, and I'm sure in 2 weeks' time we'll see you up here again.
Yeah, thanks.
Awesome. Thank you very much. That is, of course, Costa, the third place man in the race for the British Grand Prix, the 1950s Silverstone race. Here to kickstart the first season of the Revival Racing League here on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk you through all of the action. It's been myself, Zach Sweeney, alongside Michael Sifalda in the commentary booth. We also were joined by the big man himself, Obi-Wan, in the early portions of the race. Pretty much for the majority of the race, actually. But to those at home, it's been an absolute pleasure, as I say, to talk you through the entire 70 laps and 30 minutes of qualifying action that has been unveiled here to kickstart, again, as I say, what should be a fantastic season of racing. Honestly, I am looking forward to the rest of the season, to what could be unfolded with the potential, with the ambitions, with the fire in these guys' hearts. It should for sure be a good one. That is unfortunately going to round off the action here on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel for round number 1. However, 2 weeks' time, same time, of course, 8 p.m. roughly GMT on the 28th of January. We will be there in the small little principality of Monaco for the Monaco Grand Prix for round number 2 of the Revival Racing League. But until then, take care. We'll see you soon, and bye-bye.